Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. The meeting will be starting shortly. While we wait, let's learn more about Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast channels 98 and 22. Channel 98 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates.
And it's 7 o'clock. Tonight we have Doug Callum, Gwen English, myself, Patrick Gordon as chair, Pam Jedham, and Julie Gilman as our select board rep.
Good evening.
We are going to jump right down to other business. The 12 Front Street, I'd like to ask for a motion to bring that up and have that as first, because that'll be short and quick, and won't keep people here for undue time.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we take the case of 12 Front Street right now.
Okay, I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Mr. Donegan. We have a request to extend a previously approved application that expires on February 20th, 2022. And our understanding from your letter is that nothing is being proposed to change, that you'd just like to extend for another year the current approval.
Correct.
And then you'll take under advisement and come back for work sessions if there's anything that you want clarifications on for that approval or any modifications that you want to have in the future. Okay. All right. I see and take no issue with this, so I'll call for a motion to approve this request.
Move to approve the extension.
All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So extended. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No presentation necessary.
We'll see you around.
Okay.
All right. Jumping back up to new business, public hearings. We have the continued public hearing on the application of Phillips Exeter Academy for the proposed demolition of the existing building located at 8 Gilman Lane and for the proposed construction of a new multifamily structure on the same property, now two separate structures. The subject property is located in the R2 Single Family Zoning District, and it is case 21-11 for us. Welcome back.
Thank you.
So in light of the agenda that we have tonight, would love to just not recap and just new information. And so far from what I've seen, I think, you guys brought back exactly what we were asking for. So,
Perfect.
do you want to present just what's new on I think it was the two-family portion of the triplex that was split off?
Sure.
Then that would be great.
Great. Yes, good evening, everyone. My name's Christina O'Brien from Market Square Architects, and we'll jump right into the two-family, Gavin, so you can... actually, when the first slide we'll just go over very quickly, just wanted to show the site plan that we did talk about at the last meeting with the single family on the left-hand side, the two-family on the right, and that's underneath 35 High, and the new two-family on High Street. The image on the right is just showing new landscaping and the green space that will be surrounding these buildings. We just had some updated drawings done and wanted to show that for reference. And if you want to skip through, Gavin, to the next, yep, keep going, this one. So this is the new two-family building that we talked about at the last meeting. There were some comments on just elements that should have been brought into the building that maybe resembled the single family that everyone had some very positive feedback on. So we tried to take some gable shapes and window placement and just proportions and massing that replicated that single family a little bit closer. The details on the building, any of the raking trim and the window trim, those are all very similar to 35 High Street and the two-family on High. The materials are very similar. We did include some cut sheets in your packets as far as what the material will be for this building. And we just tried to take your feedback from the last meeting about proportions and massing and bring that into this building.
Okay. Hold on a second. Elevation in the bottom, that sheet right there, what elevation is the lower left-hand corner? Elevation 3?
I believe so. Is this have a,
Is the
This
purpose
one?
of the 312 pitch there just to make sure that that double hip returns to that wall?
yes.
Okay.
And to clear that window that's above it.
Okay, and that's why it's different than the 412 on the up?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, gotcha.
that is correct. And that elevation will be will be seen coming down the new Gilman Lane.
Yep. So on elevation 1, in the gable end that's got the 7 windows, the 2 rows of 3 and then the single above,
Yes.
the proportions of those windows are really nice that the lower and the upper are the same. A different choice was made on the elevation just above, where the first floor windows, the sill is a lot higher, but the head was kept. Is that?
That is the design of that floor plan. Those are kitchen windows. So there's a counter underneath those windows,
Okay,
which is why those are shorter and have a higher sill height.
gotcha. Okay. Does anyone else take comfortable with that? Where at the larger window on the top on the second floor, it's typically the inverse, the larger window on the bottom and the smaller window on top. But I just wanted to bring that. Anyone
Yeah.
else takes issue with that or does not? Please comment on it now.
Yeah. I don't have a suggestion for something else. No.
The only thing would be to bring the sill up of the upper windows, but then you're just taking more daylight out of the rooms.
We also need egress sizes for those.
Good point. Yeah. Okay, that was all that I saw. That,
We wrestled with the same thing, and I think, to Ms. Gilman's point, that was sort of the best answer we came up with, and the width carrying up seemed to make sense.
does it carry all the way across? It's, the kitchen is in that gable and the 2 windows on either side?
Correct. Yep.
So there's counter all the way across there?
Yes.
Okay.
And because the units are similar, there's kitchens in both of those gables at that lower level.
So if I'm looking at SD1 00A, that floor plan, it would be elevation 4, right? Is it elevation 4 we're looking at?
Yes, I believe so. Gavin, can you go to the floor plan?
Yeah. SD1.00A. Proposed 2-family floor plans. So
change that.
your gable end is right in the center there of the larger unit. One of the windows is over the sink, the other is not. And then you have one in the powder room on one side and one in the powder room on the other side.
Yeah.
We have updated that since the submission.
Oh, this is not the floor plan that matches
No,
that
it's-
elevation?
No,
Okay.
we've updated it since. It's tough to-
So there's a counter continues across here
Yes.
now as well.
Okay, okay.
And I think the other part too is, it is fairly typical for things like bathroom windows or kitchen windows to be smaller. We did locate them facing the interior yard sort of area of the plan as well, in part so that the area facing the new Gilman Lane, or the street frontages, has more of what you would see traditionally.
Okay, so that's actually the front street elevation, but behind buildings?
Correct.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Doug, do you have any questions, comments?
I think you carried it forward quite well. It looks great.
Thank you.
Gwen, questions, comments? Okay. Pam?
Well, I'm still sorry about missing my beautiful old house, but this is okay.
That's a win from Pam.
I was gonna say, that was better than last time, so yeah.
I
well,
know that Mark is thinking, why is she making such a fuss about an old house?
Julie, any questions, comments?
Yeah, my comments are, many of the buildings along High Street are long because they've been added on to and become a school or housing for like the Emerson School. And this sort of echoes that, but modernized for the car, which the other buildings didn't have. I appreciate that you don't have the double garage doors that you had at one point, and breaking up the elevations so that you have the idea that there was an original building and then it's been added on to, like most of the other buildings on the street and in the neighborhood. I think the proportions that we had seen in the previous one that you hadn't finished of the duplex are looking like a Victorian era building or style that also reflects on the street. And the placement on the site plan is similar to the buildup of neighborhood in the various neighborhoods. So in my opinion, this is appropriate as far as the massing and the placement goes, just because it looks more like the history of how that street is developed. So those are my thoughts.
Great, thank you. Can you go back to that landscape slide real quick?
Sure.
Yeah.
I just want to see the screening from the front street side. Okay, so that's kind of a center courtyard that'll be landscaped in some way, and, okay,
There are, some of those are flowering trees.
okay.
Some are evergreens. There's some shrubs that are going to be at some of the houses, so that's still being developed, but
Okay, thank you. All right. So I am getting a sense that everyone is happy with the application as it is now. So I'm going to call for a motion of approval of the application. This is an approval for accepting the demolition of 8 Gilman Lane and replacing it with a single-family and a two-family structure that's been presented to us in this packet tonight. Just so everyone's aware, that's what the motion is.
So moved.
All right, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
I
All right, so approved.
just have one comment or question.
of course.
To work with the E911 committee headed by Jason Pizon in the fire department, so that the numbering of, however these are numbered, if they're Gilman Lane or High Street, that they have the appropriate numbers.
Of course.
Something that, a request that we'd like to make that's not contingent to any of the approval, but was it DCH that requested elements of the building be preserved?
The Heritage Commission.
Heritage Commission.
Yes.
Heritage
Yeah.
Commission requested the elements of the building that are historic in nature be preserved in some way, and kind of a forensic disassembly to kind of see more history that might be hidden.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're fully aware of that. And
Okay,
we'll make sure that we're followed through on.
okay, great.
All right.
And Patrick, kind of along those lines, I know at the last meeting, Doug sort of put in a request that some of the elements be used, and that's also not our purview, but I think it was a great idea to use some of those elements in the new structures if possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that, Mark had mentioned that in previous discussions about granite stones of the foundations and being landscape elements and things like that, so, yeah, that'd be great.
Yes, we'll definitely take that into consideration and put that into the design.
Okay, great.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Oh, that's fine. Thanks.
I don't think it would have.
That was a long,
That's
drawn-out
pointless.
project.
Okay, who's next?
All right, so,
It's funny, is that it's just a couple of houses.
give me a second to shuffle some papers here.
My clients have advised me that they're a couple of minutes out, so.
Oh, okay.
Take your time shuffling.
Okay. That is Gilman, new construction, duplex,
Tony.
demo and triplex. Go.
Tony, nothing. You know, those guys, we used to, in the same building as them, and we always thought of them as being sort of conservative and plus budgets.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean, I really, from an engineering point of view, they're putting in a lot more joints, a lot more places to leave. More surface area, and less energy.
Man, I don't have any of the
More
dates for
energy.
this.
But I think it's really cool.
You know, visually, I like.
Visually, or whether they, windows? Just this faceted shape.
When was the first time we
Fun.
received this
And
application?
Otherwise, is kind of ignored.
November.
So that really livens it up.
Yeah,
in my
look at the
mind.
minutes.
Everybody's
We've got a
like me.
bazillion of them.
I know. I kind of like this better when it was more solid, more like a back bay, basement porch. But
What,
I'm glad they decided not to keep the monumental stairs because it just sends the wrong
it
message.
sure does.
Yeah, November 18th.
November 18th.
I mean, it's still a beautiful little church. Not trying to welcome people in.
2021.
I-
Do you have any idea when we accepted the application?
And then this
Yeah, we-
I
fence,
should have brought my whole big
Fence is-
notebook. but
That was probably last month.
Yeah, it must have been.
I
think it was last month.
Right, they kind of, like they solved it.
Because, yeah, it was, because we had the
looks like
architectural, or the historical evaluation at that point.
Yeah.
So that was
Somebody here has a dog.
January 20th? Thank you.
Yeah,
2022,
explain, when you're talking about the. this
today's
area,
2/17,
What was it that you were?
2022.
Oh, I thought that this was more of a solid rail on the top, and then they've got a glass divider, which I think is silly. Yeah, I'd rather just have a granite. Doesn't even look
Right,
like
yes,
it.
we accepted it. There you go. There you go.
That visually it says this is my porch and that.
Right,
Don't
right.
step over the line.
That's right, and not a big sheet of plexiglass. or
Yeah,
whatever they do.
that's not working for me at all. They don't, it doesn't go away. A lot of people think that glass goes away. It really doesn't.
So you're not probably keen on the idea of having the glass.
Oh, I like
Did
that.
you like that?
I like it.
Mrs.
but
Summer?
I'm not sure, I mean, it reminds me of the beach.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, I like.
Do you mind if we go ahead in the
Reorder.
order?
Well, one of the, Florence, do we know where everyone is? Do we have other people coming in shortly? Because they're ready for us.
Why would you think you would
Tony's not
want to
here?
take someone else while they're getting?
Mr. Chair, it appears that our architect is not yet here, so perhaps if you want
Here
to,
at 7:15.
if you want to go on to another matter, I would certainly understand.
All right, thank
Well, let me
you.
see where it is, please, real
Ryan
quick.
rented it, was at the
He said he'd
beach.
be here by
By a
now.
house the other day. All right. Had glass, the glass somewhere on
I don't need to make a motion to move something up in an
Yeah, why
agenda.
don't we take the poor guy with just the windows? I mean, that shouldn't take very long.
Yeah.
Which guy?
Sorry.
Well, we should go to the,
Yeah, okay, Hampshire Development.
yeah. Do we need to make a motion to do that, though?
Okay,
Do you need to make a motion to do that?
okay.
Order the, yeah.
I would like to make a motion that we move up the application of Hampshire Development.
Okay.
Well, the Exonian properties are,
Washed it off and it was.
People?
But, big salt gets, I
Doug,
don't know about road salt, here, but
he's here now.
my shoes.
okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
This is really ugly, I'm glad they're replacing that. Just, what are they thinking?
Excuse me? I don't know. Tony, are you okay? All right.
Okay.
Mr. Chair? are
Yeah,
you-
go ahead,
Okay,
proceed.
all right, thank you, thank you. Sorry for the delay in getting set up, folks, but we're ready to go now. My name is Sharon Summers. I'm an attorney with Donahue, Tucker, and Shindella, and I'm here representing the Exonian properties. As this board knows, we've been here a number of times. We've been here to the HDC twice. There was also a demolition review committee meeting, including the one at December 15th, in which approval was given for a partial demolition, and there was also an HDC site walk. During the previous meetings that we've had, we provided a substantial amount of information presented by Tony Chow, our architectural team from Feingold Alexander, as well as comments from the owners on the design and materials. At those prior meetings, no members of the public have come forward, either in person or in writing, to object to the project. And I know that we mentioned these in passing the last time, but I just also wanted to remind you or bring to your attention that there were several letters of support. And I'm just going to read, I'm not going to read them, but I'll read the names of the authors. One was from Jeanette and Robert Lackey, who noted that the plans are generally appealing from the street and that the new additions are incorporated so that there's clear distinction between the old and the new. There's another letter from Lynn Walterick, and all these people, by the way, they indicate that they either have owned or resided in historic properties at some point themselves. Keith Ripple, I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, notes that while he is in favor of preserving the historic integrity of the town, we must allow for tasteful repurposing and modernizing of buildings like the Exeter Church before they deteriorate beyond renovation. Lori Whitney and Jeff Turner note, what a gift a new, well-designed and thoughtfully appointed renovation is to the town of Exeter. And then finally, Linda Higgins notes that the design is thoughtful, maintains the historical feel of the exterior, but includes the much-needed updating to assure structural quality. So, tonight, the purpose of this meeting is to simply receive the requested info that was made at the last meeting, at the January 20th meeting, and Tony will present those new items. I don't believe it's necessary for us to recap, although certainly if the commission wants to, we can do that. Once he's completed with the new slides, the commission will then deliberate, and after which we request that a certificate of appropriateness be issued for the project as presented. Tony will do his presentation right now, and the two owners, David Cowie and Florence Ruffner, are available to answer any questions that you may have, and then we would like to get a vote tonight. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tony.
Tony, just before you do that, I just want to read that this is case number 21-13 for us. And yes, please, new info only, because we've got a full agenda for tonight.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I just want to look into it. So this is a follow-up from the last time we presented, and we're going to share with you how we've advanced certain parts of the project. So one of the things that was asked for was to do a study of a comparison on the original design, which is the proposed gable dormers, which is on the left, and then just a request to look at an alternate, which was the shed dormer.
Tony,
version. Sorry.
hang on just 2 seconds.
Sorry.
See if I can get this without breaking it. There you go.
Sorry, I'll start over.
you.
Can you all hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so the first slide is looking at a study that was requested to compare a version that looked at what our original design was, which is the shed dormer version on the left, and then an alternate version, which was gable dormers on the left and the shed dormer version on the right. We believe that in looking at this, that while it was worthwhile exercise, we believe that the scaling of the original design as shown in the gable dormer approach is the one that we are wanting to stay with, because I think it helps to break the scale down, and it does seem to be more in keeping with the church, and it doesn't tend to compete, which we're concerned is that the shed dormer version on the right starts to get quite a bit larger because it simply consolidates all the forms together.
So I have a quick question on
Please.
this. On the proposed gable dormers, on the inside of the gables, was it intended to stick build those so that you could capture the vaulted roof inside the dormer?
So those dormers are basically aligned within if you recall, Patrick, the series of trusses that occur.
Right.
So it is literally centered in those trusses. So if you imagine with the trusses, they form a gable, profile within the units. So and there are some elevations which we also can share with you, but that is the intent.
Okay, so if we're looking at the peaked roof of the gable end right there,
Here?
above, yes,
Yeah.
right there. So there is open space there. It's not a flat bottom chord truss?
That's correct.
Okay, so that's why the head is so high on the shed proposal over here. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Because that proportion of the head above the windows there, the forehead above those doors with the shed request is very high. But if you're capturing all of that interior space of that ceiling in there, then I understand that's why the plate's that high.
Yeah, thank you for asking that. That is correct.
Okay.
I'll keep going. The other piece that was asked to look at was a comparison where we currently are showing a double height curtain wall of the two end gables on both of the new dormer consideration, and then a version that looked at punched openings. While we still prefer the double height openings, but we're of the opinion that we also feel that certainly if this is a approach that the commission feels is a better solution, we would certainly not be opposed to that. So this is an examination of the two. We can either keep going, or shall I just keep going and then have you deliberate? How would you like me to do it?
I think we can have questions, comments with the presented material as we
Please.
go, if anyone wants to comment on it.
Tony, can you comment on the symmetry of the tower with you?
Yes. So one of the reasons why we originally had the taller double height curtain wall approach in these end gable is that we also looked at some of the vertical elements, for example, in the tower, and these are very, very tall windows, as you probably well know, and we felt that the scale read of this element here was more kind of in spirit with this. It's true that these are two, levels in the unit. So, I mean, from a functional standpoint, the primary difference is just the legibility of reading of the window system itself. But that was the reason that drove our original intent to look at the higher sort of double height curtain wall system here versus the punched opening version here.
Okay.
And still the intent to have spandrel glass covering The floor framing?
That's correct.
Okay.
In this piece right
So clear
here.
glass, black band, clear glass?
That's correct.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to make a couple comments as we go.
Sure, yeah,
As we go
please.
along. With an informal, and I will stress informal, much like the letters of support that we've had, I've shown this to some people that have not been involved at other, and haven't watched the meetings or anything like that. And their preference is the gable ends as opposed to the shed roof, just because of the proportions. Better suiting the shape of the original building, and that the shed roof is really stands out more than as we're brand new, we're doing something completely different, less, I think, respectful to the original building. That's.
With that high of a plate, it's completely out of proportion.
Yeah. And then
It breaks the mat down, which I think is a good thing.
yeah,
And I think the similar thing with the curtain wall windows, it tends to break down the size of that facade visually.
as
So I
opposed
think
to
it's
the,
a good thing, as opposed to punch windows.
yeah, that's what I was looking at too. You see the two of them, and I'm really glad you did the study, because it does show it's less busy than with the spandrel, the long windows, and like you said, matching with the tower. So you really are catching the verticality of the different elements of the building. So I do prefer the double height curtain wall as more appropriate to this addition than the punched windows.
And the gable end dormers, the exterior wall finish on there is what again, and what orientation?
These were intended to be a metal cladding. We had, I think, I don't have it in this particular presentation today, but in the previous one, we showed the cladding system, and we were looking at things like a Reinzig, so, sort of similar.
In a vertical
The
pattern?
vertical pattern, yes.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Anyone else have questions, comments on this portion? Okay,
Okay, keep going.
please proceed. Yeah.
Okay. The other question that was asked was about the window insect screens. So what we're proposing here is in the new portion, which is, of course, all the areas in blue, we're proposing either a casement or an awning to be determined, but with interior screens. So I think this was a question that came at us the last time. So we believe that this is an appropriate response, and this is the way that we're suggesting.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. With respect to the original windows, which are here within the former church form itself, on the lower level, we are actually looking now here at double hung examples with full exterior screen. Again, this is more in keeping with the more historic nature of those. So this is what we're proposing with respect to these windows down here.
Full screen, but your example's a half screen.
Yeah, I realize that. Yeah,
So-
we didn't quite get the picture uploaded in time for the full screen, but I think you get it.
Yep.
Do you show us the Spring Street side in here anywhere?
We do. I think there's an elevation coming. But
Okay.
Yeah, right here, the next one.
Oh, sure, there we go.
So one of the things that I think we also wanted to demonstrate, on the left-hand side, this is the current east elevation as it exists. On the right-hand side is the proposed design with the gabled dormer situation. And so there was some question about the alignment. These windows are aligning with the historic windows below, so they are centered. And as I mentioned, they're also centered within the wood trusses within the church body itself. So this is a point of clarification. This is a drawing that illustrates this in an elevational standpoint.
Yeah, I have a question.
Please.
On the very street level, are you having light wells to bring light into those lower units?
Yeah, so, it's actually these lower level units right here, because the grade is, rising slightly along Spring Street. They are creating deck areas out here. They're not really light wells because in effect, what we're doing, we're lowering some of these openings down to create outside access for those units at this lower level. I think when we get to the front, it's where it drops a little bit below the window part at the front. I think we have a perspective, going back to the front view. But these areas in here and here are essentially following the street edge with respect to outdoor terraces. And I think it did show up in one of the earlier
Yes, what I'm
axonometric views.
Looking for. The reason I'm asking is because of the, there's stained glass there right now, isn't there? At that level?
I think there is, but we're not intending to keep any of the stained glass in any of their church.
Well, yeah, I know, that's why I'm asking, is
Yeah.
because of having experience living at the ground level and not wanting to be seen while you're inside.
Yeah.
Just wondering if, I know you want to have real daylight, but just thinking about whether you keep the lower half, the stained glass, or, just to obscure the view from the street. I'm just asking as a thought.
They're not in very good condition.
I'm sure there'll be shades and.
Oh, well, I know.
Yeah. But yeah, the stained glass themselves are not in good condition as is. And those of you who've seen it.
There's a lot of cracks and holes, and, yeah, they're not great.
And Tony, I don't think we're changing the windows to the left.
No, we're not.
No.
All the windows stay the same.
These are the same,
There's
correct.
only around-
Stay the same.
Yeah. Yeah, these windows, what David is pointing to is more at the tower when the grade is rising. That's creating more of the light well situation. Here, these windows that you can see in the existing are already above grade.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm asking because I had just forgotten, my remembrance of it is not as clear as it should be, I suppose.
That
No?
happens to us, too.
Yeah. Any other questions on this elevation?
What we haven't seen until now with this straight on elevation is that center portion on the upper where you've got those 4 punched openings, the awning windows. That form looks like now it really looks like it's floating in there because there's no extension of those vertical elements that are between the Gothic arches below. Yeah. I don't know if I can. If I can help you see what I'm seeing. And you've got the separations on each with the brick details that are here, 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 and here. And you've got the 2 edges on the other sides that's kind of accentuating that vertical line. But these right here kind of die into just a flat facade there.
I think
That are set back. It doesn't
yeah.
have continuation of the vertical line. It makes it feel like that center element is floating. The axon helps a lot more. But on that vertical plane there, it's not an doesn't extend that vertical line.
Yeah, I guess if you're saying that by virtue of the fact that these elevationally are in a line and it's looking like it's, even though it's not in the same plane,
Right.
from elevation, this is pulling through. Yeah, that's true. I think the reason we have to deal with it this way is because of the unit layout at this level required us to extend it. We couldn't just simply do the dormer scenario like we did here.
Right,
so
right.
that is true, but I think in the instance, and because this element is set back from the roof edge as well as this wall plane, we believe it's subservient enough that I think the main one is these 2 end ones is where the legibility of this form reads through.
I'm wondering if there's an opportunity to thicken the wall on the exterior to create that vertical line in that facade to, just like the brick is as a detail, it's just stepping out a little bit to kind of create that, to make it feel like those are walls there, but it's not. It's just the finish. It's just the brick finish itself that's creating those vertical lines. I don't know if there's an opportunity to do that. I mean, there's probably framed as a 2x6 wall. And
Yeah, also the cladding of this is also not brick. This is in the same metal siding.
Right, but it is that vertical, you've got that standing seam vertical going there, so you
Right.
have the opportunity just to do that very, very easily.
Yeah, I guess this seems more like a detail refinement, if I'm reading you or understanding you correctly, Patrick. So I think what we're proposing is, what we've been representing all along today. But I think when we get to the fine-grained details of the siding and the vertical spacing, I mean, clearly we can look at that a little more carefully once we get into that level.
I'm not suggesting that's something that's going to hold up an application. I'm just,
Okay.
Well,
we didn't see it till now because we didn't see that straight on elevation.
Okay.
Yeah, the other thing about it is that it's one of those views where from the street, you'll see the gables more than you will that extension, yeah.
Yeah.
So that the concern about the verticality of those punched out windows is not, to me, as that high of difference between because they're not as vertical as everything else, that you may not really see that except for the top of the windows from the street.
Yeah, I think we're saying different things, but that's okay.
Shall I keep going?
Materials.
Yes, please.
Okay. And this is just the other elevation, looking on the west side again. This is the existing elevation, and this is the proposed. Essentially very similar. I think the only difference really is occurring at the base. We don't have, of course, the entrance to the residential project as we did on the other side, and the grade change is a little bit different here. But for all intents and purposes, everything else is the same. Okay. I think there was the other question that was raised or asked was with respect to the railing system at the balconies themselves, both here and this element as well as here on the lower elements where the balconies are cut in and recessed into the roof. What we have proposing is the glass railing system. We had drawn an alternate, which was the aluminum picket railing, but it's still our preference that we really prefer the glass. We do think that the glass will actually tend to dematerialize more. And I know there's some question that was raised about cleaning, but I think it does fall more in the purview of the condominium, and I think as the owners, as well as the building itself, it's going to be their interest to maintain those railings as a unit owner. So our preference really is to do this, but we did show you this because it was asked of us.
Commission members, questions, comments on the two options shown? Doug?
I don't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole.
He doesn't want to touch it. Well, fortunately, you won't have to do that, Doug.
Yeah, you know where my prejudices are. I really like the slick, classy stuff, but I'd like to hear what other people think.
Pam?
Well, I guess it's my housewife thing. I could see all these sticky little fingers all over the glass, not to mention little paw prints, but but that's up to the individual owner. I personally like the railing for that very reason. I wouldn't want to be sitting out there with a can of Windex every time I'm on my balcony, but that's me.
Okay. Julie?
I hear both arguments, and I see the picture on the left of the aluminum railing, the picket railing, and then the image on the right, because of how the spacing of the pickets is so dense that it's more dominant than I expected it to be.
It looks better in our packets than it does on that screen. It looks like a black.
You mean for
black wall.
the axon view?
There's codes that you can't pass a.
Oh, yeah, 4 inches.
Or sphere,
through
yeah.
in it.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And it usually has to be vertical so that kids can't climb as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So it makes an elegant railing system kind of hard to develop.
Can't find what I was looking for.
So you kind of want it to just go away.
Well, I think that's our view, and I think the glass railing will tend to dematerialize in some ways it'll dematerialize the mat because it's going to draw less attention to itself, where I think this version draws more attention. So.
Yeah, I mean, if you accentuated the horizontal bar on the top and made everything else as thin as it could be, maybe you'd get rid of that that, I mean, it's really creating a surface, isn't it? With the striations, it's as if it were a surface, even though it's holes in it, it reads as a surface.
The pickets, you're saying?
Yeah.
One thing that I'm considering different seasons, and is a treatment with the glass going to be so hot in the summer because you're encased, you don't get any air circulation? Have you had any issues with that? And then in the wintertime, the snow is just going to build up in that area, and can they, I don't know what you do with that.
Shovel it over
Get
to
up
the
over
side.
the top of the.
Yeah,
You
that's
wanted
gonna
to
be,
get rid of it.
does this open so that you can get the snow?
You throw it down the deck below.
Yeah.
Yeah, in our experience, at least on projects we've done in the city, I mean, in the city being back in Boston, we've often done the glass railing, and the owners really like it. They like the fact that they can see through it, and there's not something blocking their views. And it's done in such a way that I think that the detailing with respect to the base and how it's handled deals with the wind issues, and I think it has sufficient ventilation because it is quite open. I mean, it is only coming up to sort of rail height, so it's not, I mean, everything above that is, of course, open to the sky and open to the environment. So we have at least found that folks who have purchased units in projects we've done in the city really like this approach, and it sells for them, because especially the view issue, they want light maximizing into their apartments.
You do know that we do get 10 to 12-inch snowstorms.
Oh, yes, I do know. We had one ourselves a few weeks ago, 24 inches in 24 hours, so I'm well aware
I don't think anybody will be sitting out here.
during the
No, but they're going to
snowstorm.
be shoveling it out of there.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So they're just gonna let it sit there till spring? No, that's one way to do it.
I have areas in my house that I do.
What is the proposed color of the vertical seam on that, the gable
bronze.
end bump outs?
The color? I don't know if we've gotten into that exact level of detail. I think we're,
No, you gave us a cut sheet.
you're talking about the,
Presentations, I think we did.
You did.
Yeah.
And I was
It's
trying
a
to find
darker,
it.
right?
It's
More
darker.
like an antique bronze
yeah,
almost.
I'm sorry, I don't have that previous presentation, but it is a darker tone.
Maybe what's poking me in the eye so much is that handrail is aluminum
Yeah.
or stainless steel,
Yeah.
and the bottom rail is also aluminum stainless steel. If those could be powder coated black, I think they would relate more to the railing below and also help it disappear more.
Yep.
I think that's what's just poking me in the eye.
Okay.
Is because I'm seeing that as what's proposed as
Yeah.
the stainless steel and
Yeah.
or clear anodized, as opposed to a powder coated black or something like that.
I think that's a very good point.
Yeah.
It should be black. I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's more consistent with the other window as well. So I think that's a very good observation. I think we certainly can make that adjustment. The picture in some cases is almost, it's representative, so.
It's almost, because of the clear anodized, it's
Yeah.
reinforcing the shininess.
Right.
And you're trying to make it disappear.
Yep.
So I think that black line,
Yep,
that horizontal black line would help do that.
yep, good suggestion. Thank you. Okay, keep going.
Yes, please.
And I think, again, you asked us to look at this other alternate consideration on the three-quarter sort of level 3, which is really, quite a bit recessed back. These are the ones where the two-story dormer exposure cuts into the roof. So it's very nominal. It's not a lot, but this was an alternate version that we looked at for an aluminum picket railing, also largely black.
We prefer the glass.
We still prefer the glass, yeah, just simply to match and be consistent with this so that we aren't doing two different railing systems from here to here.
Yeah. If we had a black handrail or black guardrail on top, I
Same,
think it would help.
yes, would be consistent.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right, going back to the glass again, to
the previous
the
one?
one before.
Okay.
Now I'm thinking rain. What happens if we do get a good rainstorm like we're supposed to get tonight? Do you just end up with a,
I think what's confusing, Pam, is the glass won't go.
Yeah, there's actually a gap right
Okay, so it'll run
here,
off.
which is
All
holding
right.
off the deck, so the water just drains off. It's not coming, the glass is not coming overlapping to
Okay,
So-
it looked as if it was coming straight down.
Yeah, I think it's the photograph, it's probably, it's a little confusing.
I think in this particular one we've chosen, we probably should have chosen one where it shows the gap in the bottom.
Yeah.
so-
But usually there's a couple inch gap.
Do you have
for
the
this.
clips or the talons that would hold the glass?
Yes.
Yeah,
And a 1-inch gap at the bottom? Okay.
yeah, that's, exactly, yeah. Okay,
Yep. Comfortable, Pam?
I'm not shoveling their snow. They can put it all around.
The units won't get flooded.
no. So the other issue that was raised was the roof, and I think the last time we proposed this luxury asphalt shingle, and I think several of you were, I don't have this image here, but that one of the historic buildings that was using this exact same product had the striping banding, which I think was very attractive and looked like it picked up on some of the detailing, but within this shingle. So what we're proposing here is actually, this is more the detail behind it, is really this. So this product has the ability to also have different shapes. So what we're seeing here is that the main body, very much like the existing church, we will do in this kind of more traditional field. And then where we have the decorative kind of turn accent elements, which are almost like hexagonal
Tony,
tiles.
I think if you go back one,
Sorry.
This is the requested study, so you need to go back one.
Here.
Yes. So this
Okay.
is-
Yeah.
So we proposed a uniform shingle.
Right.
That's what we propose and prefer. And then Patrick and a couple of folks had asked that we would do the bands that
Right.
would match with the existing church, and that's the proposed study.
Proposed study as in you are comfortable with that?
Our preference is to be uniform,
Okay.
but the proposed study was, so the top one would be the upper portion, and then the proposed accent would be as it says there, the proposed accent, and those would be your bands that would match up with the existing roof just now.
I love it.
I know.
The tone on tone with the pattern difference, matching the original roof more closely. I like that. I like it a lot.
You know, one of the things that we have to look at when you're proposing changes to a historic building is that you don't want to duplicate. You want to be able to see what's new as what's new. But I prefer the banding only because that's the old part of the building. You are using new materials, but it shows a little, I don't want to say respect, but a look back. Yeah, a characterization of the original building that you are preserving, I guess.
And on the tower too, right? Because the tower is where it's most prevalent.
Yes.
Tower is more prevalent, yes.
Because of that just as a single pattern
Right.
is going to look really tall. And that banding really helped it,
Yeah.
break up
Yep.
how vertical it was as a
Yep.
mass. So I personally love this proposal as an option.
I think that's something we can definitely consider when we get to the end of the presentation.
Okay.
Okay. And again, this is just simply more detail around that product line. The proposed landscape treatment at the front, you asked for more information about this, so now with respect to the new, we've removed the steps, we're creating the new entry and side entrance to individualize the terraces for the units. This is a little bit more developed here, so there is going to be some kind of decorative planting both at the front of the elements here in the former steps, and then some accent elements here that frame the edges against these areas at the front. It also helped to conceal and provide some privacy. Your question about decorative approach at the front, because these are a little bit recessed down in terms of light well consideration because of this street elevation is higher here against the front of the church. So this is at least the proposal that has been suggested for the idea of the planter and fencing palette.
Okay.
We also didn't want to have too many plantings in the front where it will block the light going in and defeat the purpose of the railings and dropping the
Right.
window.
So it's really accent.
And I would also just note that the board's jurisdiction for landscaping really pertains to hardscape. So this notion of providing you an idea as to what the plantings might look like really is just informational. So it wouldn't be a binding part of your approval.
You must have tulips.
Tulips can be arranged.
No, I'm saying that we, yeah, no, I did enough, thank you. No, I'm just saying this is something we can't say.
But what this does help us is understand what is planter and what is hardscape,
Yeah.
to understand the massing.
Right.
And the massing is in our purview.
Right.
So, thank you for providing. I don't have any
Any-
comments other than that.
Keep going.
I think Doug was the one that brought this up.
Yeah, I'm a little uncomfortable with this. I've been thinking of that whole arrangement being a geomorphic element kind of growing out of the ground. And having the lightweight fence on top of that, it's, first of all, it's diminishing the verticality of that masonry or concrete or whatever it is, geomorphic element. And secondly, I mean, it just looks like it's kind of stuck on the top. And then the divider, the glass divider, I think you'd be better off with just a planter dividing the two sides. The glass divider is a little
Yeah,
overkill, I think.
Do you want me to go to that slide? There was one
Yes,
more
please.
Yes, please.
before that. This was simply a question of clarification on the screening system. It is extruded
Extruded.
aluminum slab, so this is a little bit more detail behind that.
Great, thank
This is around the trash area, the mechanical. And I think it's this one, I guess, that we're now talking about.
Yeah, there's a couple of these, but we were talking before about accentuating the verticality throughout the building, and this kind of got flattened out. And I've been thinking along of the center portion being like extend up to a railing wall, or maybe a short railing wall with the extension horizontal railing on top. But this is not sort of recognized. And then I don't know. And then the gates at the bottom, is that what they are?
Those are individual gates to those units, yes,
Yeah.
leading up to their private steps and
I
terraces.
don't know. It just looks a little clunky. Just kind of. It's not elegant like the rest of it.
yeah.
That-
We
the-
did that in the last presentation, so.
Uh-huh.
just-
Okay, needs more work.
No,
The obscured glass, yeah, I don't think that's helping you.
I think that was mostly, we were imagining a little bit of privacy between the two unit owners so that they have some,
It looks like a dentist office, don't do
It
it.
looks like, the shower compartments at an RV park. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good.
I guess they won't be showering out there.
Oh, it kind of
Okay.
reminds me of like a Somerville duplex with the little wrought iron things out on the porch.
we could revert to the planter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, revert to the planter.
Okay, yes,
Or
okay.
planter with
I
a
think
small,
the issue between the two sides is it's one of territoriality, it's not one of privacy.
Right.
Certainly, you're never going to be private out there, but you want a sense that this is my side of the porch and that's your side. All you need is a symbolic marker for it.
Okay.
You don't need to actually keep their dog from coming over on your side of the porch.
Hopefully not.
Unless they're very
they'll
friendly.
stay on their side, you stay on your
Yeah.
side.
So we agree. We can move to the planter idea and not do these approaches. Okay,
That's a great idea.
yeah. okay.
Doug, were you saying planter with railing above as an
No.
idea?
No, what,
Just planter?
there's two things. One is the wall that forms the,
Sheep wall?
yeah, that's the word. That I was thinking that would extend up farther.
This one?
Almost to the height of the railing wall. It would become a railing wall in that sense. And then the center divider wall, I
This?
don't think needs to be a fence or a wall. I think it could be a planter, it's just something. It could be a freestanding furniture element, maybe a heavy concrete planter or something that wouldn't be pushed around, but it would just mark, this is one side, this is your side of the porch, this is my side of the porch. Then you have to fight over who waters the plants, I guess.
Doug, I totally agree with you. It's very tasteful.
Yeah, it's just, that's the only thing that surprised me. I've loved everything so far.
Okay.
The fence is gone.
Just get clarity on
Last panel is
Yeah,
done.
so just to restate, just so we understand, Doug, so we're going to put it, we're not doing this approach, we're putting a planter
Yeah.
element subdivided into two halves.
Yeah, if you think of that center element, making it more vertical and make it more connected to the earth, so which means it would be made out of heavy material, read as heavy materials, the amorphic form. And then the center element, I think, just should go away. It should be landscape or a planter or something.
I'm sorry, again, to clarify, center element meaning,
The divider.
fence in the middle.
or this?
Wants that to go away, and then the fencing down at the bottom of the
The
steps.
divider.
to go
One at the
away.
bottom doesn't bother me as
Yeah.
much. It's just you're introducing a new vocabulary there that I
To-
don't, yeah.
So this area here,
Yes.
what you want, you're interested in not seeing it?
Well,
Sorry.
Okay, so I'm not telling you what to do. I don't,
No, I
it's not
understand.
what I
I'm trying to
want.
understand.
It's just what I don't
Okay.
like.
Okay.
What kind of irritates me.
Doug, can you use the pointer just so we're clear?
Would you
The
like
pointer,
my-
yeah. Just so I'm clear
Yeah,
on which
'cause I
part
wanna-
you're
I wanna be
talking
clear
about
too.
as being a planter.
Thank you.
'Cause I know you showed
The
us
red button
something.
is right here at the top there. This says a red vertical, that's it.
Okay, this element here, I think this could extend higher. This
Higher.
whole wrapping, it could come up to maybe the bottom railing here, and then maybe there'll be one railing on top.
So you want to
Sorry, What are
eliminate,
you saying?
you want to eliminate the
This
railing.
element here is, I think of this as being part of the earth.
Yeah.
This is a form that's heavy, and should be planted in the earth, that it shouldn't have this kind of tiara on top of it. And then this metal divider, I think, does more harm than good. It creates a sense of, it's over, I mean, really what you're talking about is the territory. This is a different territory than that. This is connected to this guy's house, and you just need a symbolic marker for that. You don't need something that's actually going to physically stop people from climbing over it.
Well, they just said they weren't going to do it, they were going to put a planter.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's-
what
But yeah, I just
I
wanted to-
hear what Doug's saying. So that, the center portion there, not that the whole platform would come up, but that
No.
you'd have a wall,
The wall could
and then
be
you'd have a
set up.
small rail at the top. You need 3 foot, right? You need a 3 foot protection, fall protection, or 42?
Or
42.
42.
So if you,
It could be a 3-foot high wall with a
Right,
railing on top.
right. So if the wall comes up higher, then you have a smaller rail. I think it's the height of that railing that's
Yeah,
bugging.
This is, yeah, maybe
Doug.
if the wall even just came up to this point and then you had.
A shorter railing.
Right.
Yeah.
Then Doug, you're also gonna have to go around here.
yeah, it's going to continue on the side.
Right, correct.
That's gonna look like, that's a pretty
Yeah,
flat wall.
it's accentuating this element as being part of the earth, it's growing out of the earth.
This is a pretty tall, this is
Yeah,
pretty tall.
well,
for this height.
that's why this is helpful, because you can have plants going up this. But this whole thing, I think, is just kind of clunky. And this certainly we won't got rid of.
Tony, is that a 42-inch rail right now?
I believe, yeah, whatever is required by code. I think, now that I understand what it is that you're suggesting, I think our primary, I understand the question of resolving and refining the detailing around this. The concern that I think we would have is simply the height.
Yeah.
Because as you know, already the existing steps, is because we're matching to the height of where the step lands.
Right.
You know, we got about 10 or 11 risers there, and it's probably in excess of approaching 6 feet by the time you go from the street level up to the, these existing doors now. So this wall already, by the time you include this plus that, we could well be approaching, nearing 6 feet in height vertically, and then if we're extending it further, that's creating a wall that's upwards of, it could be 7-8 feet tall. That's a fairly
Yeah,
big
I think
wall.
6 feet is as far as you'd want to go.
Yeah, I think so, and I think we're close to that as the way it's currently designed.
And I think also, if you do bring this wall up here, you're gonna lose the bottom of the doors. You're not gonna be able to see the full extension of the doors.
So what?
Yeah, I know.
Well, I'm going to throw something out here at the risk of my clients being upset with me, but, yeah, I'm going to ask them first, because I know this is a question. Since we were proposing the glass railing around the upper dormer situation we just looked at,
No. If you're gonna say glass there,
okay, I guess not.
Client
Okay.
says no.
Yeah, it's a fine mess you got yourself in.
You had shown us,
Tony, what is the exterior?
Flexibility, but,
What's the
you know,
exterior
in all
material?
fairness,
Yeah.
we came back, the only thing, issue here was the divider.
Right.
That would come on to.
To me, this needs some more work, needs some more work.
What's the exterior material of the plinth?
It's stone cladding. I think, what the actual material is, we're studying that. We don't have the exact material right here.
No, we presented it earlier, the stone cladding, we got a slide on there.
And the cheek walls will be the same? On the other side, on the other sides of the stairs? Be the same material?
Yeah.
And then have a stone cap rail?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, the doors are going to be so special that you want to see them, is that right?
You will see on the next one, Tom, you'll see what we're gonna do with the doors, but do you wanna finish this one just now, or do you wanna talk about it once we've done the presentation?
I'm looking through all the various other presentations that we've gone through, and I can't find what I'm looking for. You had shown us an illustration of another project where you had that planter that was going up the middle of the stairs. So I'm trying to find that.
Staircase.
Yeah, so I'm trying to find that so I can,
I thought you all didn't like that.
well, but I'm just trying to find it to explain what we want to do only flat.
Okay.
Or what we, want to look at anyway.
Doug, is that what you're thinking of?
No.
No? Extension of the wall up, having a small railing going around and having
Is
this,
it sloping? Do you have that sloping?
no,
Well, I looked at the drawing, I read it as being sloping, I thought, oh God, here we go.
no.
Yeah, higher. Make that wall higher.
Here, take a closer look at it. The red is the cap rail.
Yeah, that's it. Yes, something
So it's a
like
wall
that.
extension up, it's a small
Yeah,
railing.
good.
And the center divider planter is at the same height as the extension of the
Right,
wall up.
and this wall could be rusticated in some way.
Exactly. You
Yeah, it
have-
would break it down.
Especially if it's stone cladding. Tony, do you want to take a look at this?
Yeah, that's.
This is what Doug was trying to explain.
Okay.
Yeah, what page is that?
He's raising the stone wall higher.
The stone cladding would go up, there would be a stone cap rail that goes around, and the plantings that are in the front can start to climb up that stone to hide the height of that stone rail, and the planter that is the separation between the two balconies would be at the same level as the wall extension up, and you wouldn't need any railing above it.
There's probably several ways of working this problem out.
Mention one thing. I'm just trying to go back to our discussion, and I don't have the minutes of the last meeting in front of me, but I'm looking at the presentation packet that we did on January 20th, which was our last meeting, and it looks, to my untrained eye, an awful lot like what's up there on that screen, with the exception that there is now in the middle, separating the two doors, there is an iron railing, but again, to my untrained eye, there is a wall in the front, which I believe is roughly the same height as what is shown there. The cheek walls, the little, I don't know what the technical term is, to me they look like little dog cages down at the bottom of the stairs, and then some kind of divider. So my understanding is from our last meeting that the board was in consensus with liking this particular design, but that what you wanted to come back to do was to tweak what we were going to do in terms of the treatment between the two doors. And we've gotten some great feedback here, which, for whatever it's worth, I tend to agree with the idea of having some kind of a, substantial planter in between the two doors and using greenery to try to, differentiate the two things. But I think we're getting a little bit off track here in terms of revisiting the discussion that we had the last time, which I think we were in agreement on and should be able to move on, so.
Well, what you need to understand is that design is not a linear process. Design is an iterative process. And design, we change one thing and it changes something else. So it's not a logical linear process. You've decided on this and then you can decide on that. That's not the way it works.
Understood?
And the major move from the previous meeting to the last meeting was that there was proposed stairs.
Right.
And we said, make it balconies. And we were given this, and we said, yes, that is the direction.
Right.
That's the conceptual direction to go, but didn't get into refinement of that.
Yeah, and I-
Now that there's talk about massing and separation and a solid versus void, now we're getting into more details of that. But the major move was no stair anymore, balconies.
Right.
And that's what we were agreeing with.
Our job is to define the problem, and your guys need to figure out the solution. We can come up with ideas, but we're not the designers of this.
No, that's
And
for
we don't understand
sure.
all the other little moving parts that are involved.
That's for sure.
But I just see that as a aesthetic problem. It's not the end of the world. I mean, if you built it like this, it would work fine.
All right, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we, I think that, my clients are happy with the idea of, with the idea of a planter in between the two doors, and we'll just, for the time being, let Tony keep going on, and we'll kind of take under advisement some of your comments about the height of the wall down below for, I'm probably not using the correct term, but
Yeah.
I understand what you're driving at.
Yeah, well, you've got some great designers here and really good architects in charge, and I've got a lot of faith in them. I think but nobody can see everything. So our job is really to point out the small flaws we may see, which may not really be flaws, but if we see something that 10 years from now, you're going to walk by the building and say, oh gosh, why did we go ahead and do that? And maybe we can stop that from happening.
All right, good.
And part of this is that we're reacting to what's there now, which is a mass of stairs that have some heft to them. And I think that's kind of where you're coming from with the raising the wall and having a little bit more solidity to what.
Fine-tuning.
Yeah, well, to what's going on in front as opposed to the either glass or picket.
Could you do a tiered planter, like two tiers of planters in the front of the wall? So it's not just a drop right from the railing down to the ground, but maybe have a stepped planter system so that you could have plants. It would just break up the
Well, it is.
starkness of that wall.
I don't think you have the depth to do that.
You don't
Because
have-
the planter's got to be a certain depth to allow anything to grow, really.
Yeah. Just, it's
The
hard to
really
tell
is.
how much room there is.
Well, a lot depends
You
on
could,
what they
but you could
plant.
step the
Yeah.
wall.
You could step the wall.
And as Pam said, it depends on what's being planted. If it's tall enough, then you won't,
Well, you wouldn't have to do that.
right, you wouldn't,
True.
yeah.
But then we're getting into.
Yeah, we're not
landscape.
choosing your plants. Yeah.
And these are Amsonias, a small, not a tall. It's not going to do
Well,
anything.
Tony,
in winter.
you're the design professional.
Yeah.
Do you understand what?
I do understand what's being
What
asked,
Doug
yes.
is driving at
I do
here.
understand that. I think
He's
yeah.
uncomfortable with
Yep.
what he calls the tiara of the 42-inch railing on top of that monolithic stone mass. And I don't disagree with him at all.
Yeah.
And I don't think you do either.
So I think what I'm going to have to do in deference to our client is, we'll take this,
We want to get everything resolved.
No, we're not coming back.
This is our
No.
third, fourth meeting, and,
No.
we definitely appreciate that. Because we can always follow directives, and we're trying to do that. Coming back again is very difficult.
okay. Keep going.
Go ahead.
So on the front doors, the other, I think the last time we looked at this, there was a question of some ways more the color. So we're looking at here we're still replacing those existing wood doors with new wood and insulated glass doors, but in this instance, we're now looking at a colorway that is a little bit more lighter and sort of more compatible with some of the existing coloration around the door frame openings themselves. So I think previous iterations had darker colored doors. Now we've lightened the doors.
But the cut sheet you've given us for the Pella replacement,
Yeah, that's just a cut sheet. The finish on that door, it can be wide-ranging as a whole.
oh, no, I know, I was just looking at the panes, instead of the 6 vertical ones, the cut sheet's showing the 4 horizontal ones.
Yeah, what we're proposing here is what we're recommending is this, not the
It's
cut
just-
sheet. The cut sheet is just representative of the line.
Right.
But this is what we're proposing. It's going to be custom,
Yeah. Yeah.
Clear glass.
clear glass.
Okay.
Okay.
And then getting near the end, so the proposed entry door on the Spring Street side, this was shown on the right is the existing situation, which is not historic storefront. We had proposed something which was similar to what we did at another project in the city in a Bullfinch building on the left, which is more a kind of a class element. I think the consideration was that I think this commission was uncomfortable with that approach, so then we came back with another approach that was asked to be looked at. So we looked at this idea of trying to see if we could do an element that resembled the front doors in terms of the design. Unfortunately, the challenge we have here is that this double door at this location does not meet ADA requirements. It is not wide enough. So we cannot do 2 pairs of doors like this because we need at least a minimum of 6 feet. These are only 5 feet. So we don't have the width to actually do this, even though.
You could do it with an automatic door. Which would help you for your accessibility.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
I mean, this will hold the symmetry of the whole surround and the portico there. If you can do it with the, push open, push button.
How many times is that going to be used with a normal course of access? Most people are going to open and close the door, not the push button.
Well, you never know who's going to live there.
Yep. So what we're proposing is this. So the idea is that we create a normal door in the center, and we create a surround frame here. And the idea would be that the surround frame will be done in wood, and the treatment of that would be such in a way that it would be it's a clear expression of something that's a new intervention here, but there are things that we can pick up on, like control lines here with respect to the existing detailing around the frame, so that we're creating a nod towards historic, but also recognizing that it is contemporary and it is new. And therefore having a single light door here, which would be in the center, and that door is more along this line. So it is not attempting to mimicry the doors on the front of the church, because this is a different condition with respect to the entrance to the residential complex itself.
And that's an in-swing door, so it's a push from the exterior?
I think it's I'm sorry if I'm just a little bit, code requirement in terms of means of egress it's outswinging.
Yeah.
So that it's not going to be recessed then?
It's not, its recess is
Gonna
about
have to
6
be
inches.
flush.
There's, yeah. I don't know if
You
have-
can't swing it that way if it's going to be, it'd have to be flush to the exterior if it swings to the exterior.
Yeah, I mean, I think the level of detail, what we're talking about, there's probably a subframe around it that's inset. You can see it here. There's a little bit more elaboration here. So this is the wood portion, then there's the muntin, and then there's the opening. So this is the 3-foot opening, and then the frame itself is cladding around that. So it'll be designed so that it effectively works to swing out. We do feel that we want to create a little bit of a recess. It's only about 6 inches here with respect to that frame.
You need 12 for ADA.
Yeah, well, again, this is at a code issue. Whatever we need to do to create the code requirements, it's going to be swinging out 3-foot wide doors with a frame around the door itself set into the overarching opening itself. Just going back to here.
Yeah, but
The reason we're bringing this up is because what you're presenting to us is not what's going to be installed. If it's to the exterior, then it's going to be flush to the outside. It's not going to have that recess. It's not going to have that nice shadow line right there. It won't, because it has the swing, because the swing will be to the exterior. It won't be presented the way that is. So when that's pulled to the front, it's not going to have that same depth, and it'll look a lot more contemporary because it's going to be a lot more flat.
you need a 1.5-foot jamb on the handle side of the door.
Right.
So we have to make it flush, you don't like this door, or you just say it's.
Code would make you
It's
have
code,
to do it
yeah.
flush.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
code.
But not us.
I think there's some lee room. I think that it could be set in a certain amount, but I'm not sure about that.
If you have an offset hinge, you can.
Yeah.
But in principle, though, the intent is to create a new door, a single door, not a pair of doors, not an automatic opener. And then we will, of course, have to design it in detail according to code with the requirements that are needed to have an outswinging door.
Why make it a contrasting material? Why not just have it white like the trim?
It was our opinion that when we're trying to create new interventions into historic, that you acknowledge that it is something different.
Yeah, I follow
So that was the reason why we chose to do it in a wood color, which was in some ways is sympathetic to the same color that we're proposing to the doors at the front, as opposed to white.
You see.
I'd do the double door then and make it match the front.
Well, yeah.
I didn't hear what you just said, Patrick.
You're using a paint color around this door that you're proposing to match or to relate to the front doors. Why not make the operation and the visual appearance the same as well, and do double doors?
I think functionality, this is going to be the main entrance, and I think functionality played into this quite a bit.
And
If you're
people
going to
are
be
gonna have bring
taking all the furniture in and out, wouldn't you
Yeah, but
want double
it's-
doors?
I think Ellen said it was 3 feet 6
It's
inches.
3, maybe 3 feet 6.
3 feet 6, is what she said. Yeah.
Yes.
We
36,
took all
size
that
in out.
into account
Yeah.
for people, bringing things in and out. I mean, the color could change. That's not something.
Oh, yeah.
So we're hearing that the commission likes the double doors, is that what
I think it's more in keeping with that opening, certainly. What's there. In the proposed, you've got a single light in the center that's recessed around a new material, a new design, and the transom that's above it is larger than the light of the door below.
Yeah.
It doesn't look, it looks odd.
It's kind of hard to navigate though. I mean, 2 doors when you're, and are they wide enough, Tony? I'm not sure.
Not, the individual leaves by themselves are not wide enough. They're under,
Yeah.
this 5-foot opening width, so.
It's hard for people to, do 2 doors at the same time and get in and out with groceries or whatever. Kind of difficult to do.
No.
I think it takes away from the functionality to have 2 doors.
I do too.
Doors there, because
I mean, there's 1 door there with the satellite, right now.
Can you go back to what you're
The image?
proposing?
Are you opposed to doing a centered glass door with glass transoms on both sides, all the way up to the height of where the head of that transom
I
starts.
think we were told it's not wide enough.
You can do, well, what's there now is, would be
Yeah, so you're
exactly
talking about
that. You'd be
turning all of this
bisecting
to
that.
glass,
Yeah,
right,
yeah,
instead of wood. Is that what you're saying?
Right.
So it's not wide enough.
No, it would be exactly the door
Yeah.
that's there now.
Yeah, with
You
the-
just bisect the side lights,
These are glass instead of wood.
So would we
Right.
go all the way to the top, or we go to the top of the door frame?
all the way to the top,
The
where
whole thing- the whole
where the
thing.
transom
With the
starts.
glass.
Yeah, so
Yep.
the whole thing is one
And
big
the
element.
top too, Patrick?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's glass all the way, side lights and.
Yeah.
The existing condition, what's on the left, because that's a
Yeah.
glass opening and
Yeah.
you've got that mass of
Yeah.
the white wood above, that's not working.
Yeah,
But if you took the glass all the way to the top,
Yeah.
it would relate to the transom above now. I mean, but you'd
Yeah.
have thin side lights on both sides, and I
Yeah.
don't know if you're comfortable with that.
No, I think that makes sense, and also it avoids this issue that we're getting into the discussion of a recessed door, which we have to do with code, sufficient dimensions on either side of a swing condition. So effectively, the whole thing becomes a new door frame set within the existing opening. It's going to be flush. Door is going to maintain the 3'6" width, and the difference is that this is going to turn to glass as a surround frame. Right? Does I understand that?
And
Yeah.
then the glass daylight
Yeah.
opening relates to daylight opening.
It's actually improves the lighting into the lobby. Yeah, thank you.
And it would make a real distinction between
Yep.
what's old and what's new.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I think that's certainly very appropriate, and that's also along the lines of what we did at the Bullfinch building when we did the recessed doors all glass.
Is there framing behind those white panels now? Or is that transom above open?
It's open.
It's
Oh, it
open,
is.
because
Okay, yeah. And I'd do it.
the arch window up here, it's going to be part of the
It's
whole
vaulted.
Okay.
vaulted lobby experience coming into the front.
Yeah, I'd match the glass.
Yeah, okay. I think that's a great suggestion. We'll do it.
That works.
Okay, I think that's it. Let me see if there's anything else. No, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
One other point that I just want to make sure. I noticed that Tony mentioned in some of his slides that in terms of some of the materials, that it would be either those materials or equivalent, so I just want to make it, for the record, state that if he left one or two of those comments out on certain pages, that's our intention, that we want to be able to have some flexibility to use the materials that we cited or equivalents to that, so,
Materials, yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We don't have to use brand names.
Now, and you had presented the siding and for the gable units up
Yeah.
above. You'd already presented
That was at the
that
previous
material,
hearing,
yeah.
yes.
I don't know what, I have too many packets, I guess. But I think it was appropriate for the use that you're doing and the color choice.
Thank you.
Okay, so for purposes of commission members, I think the options in terms of what was requested to study and what's presented are the following. The dormers versus the shed, I think we're all on the same board that the dormers win on that one. The vertical openings on the gable ends with the spandrel glass versus the punched openings. I think we're all in agreement that the vertical openings with the spandrel glass wins. The screens, I think we were okay with the screens. Screens. The railings, the glass versus the picket. I think we were comfortable with the glass railing with a black handrail and black base. Okay. Same goes for the level 3 balconies, I guess they're called.
Yeah.
The shingles, what's proposed is either a single uniform pattern or a alternating pattern, same color. And I don't know that we've made a decision or collectively had a thought on that. I prefer the differing, just like that image right there. Beautiful slate
Yeah.
right there.
And we are okay with that.
Okay.
So the banded roofing on the original building?
Yes,
Yeah.
alternating pattern. And then extruded metal. Okay, and then the proposed front terrace divider. I think we all said no to the glass, no to the railing, to have a planter or a
Something.
monolithic planter type element there as a separation. And then we just said the side entrance, or what will become the main entrance, single glass door, glass side lights to the top of the glass transom existing. And then the only remaining thing would be the massing of the front terrace that Doug had talked about. So I think we're in agreement on every single thing but one.
I don't feel like the terrace we have to agree on. I mean, I feel comfortable just identifying it as an area that needs, I think we don't need to design it for them, they're designers.
No, I understand that.
Yeah, okay.
But if what we're reacting to in terms of the massing there being inappropriate in some way, or the height of a 42-inch rail wrapping around there is not
Yeah,
appropriate in some way, then that's what,
yeah, I'm a little embarrassed about getting too deep in the sausage making.
you don't want to know how it's made? Got it. Okay.
Well, the only thing, though, there, Doug, is that we have to approve what's going to be built,
I
so
understand.
I think that front is my only holdout as far as the being specific about what it's going to look like. Because I know where you're going, but I can't see it, you know?
I think that our goal here is to make this a wild building, so if we get into this and that doesn't look good out front, then we would definitely come back and say, we prefer to go taller. I think that the height of that wall is, it's a pretty tall wall as it is, so to go any taller is.
For me, I think that I can improve everything except for that front. And that's all I'd want to see is a change to the design of the front.
I think it's a matter of perspective of the height of that rail.
Yeah.
A 42-inch rail is really tall, and that's what's required as a guardrail. Everything else is 36 inches around, all the terraces, everything else, but because there's fall protection there, it has to be 40, and that's almost 4 feet tall
What if we
of metal.
come up with a wall for the difference then, so we have the 36 inch and we come up?
That's what we're saying. We're saying some extension of that wall to bring down the height of that rail.
Yeah.
So what would that be? Then it would be.
So it's like raising another 6 to, yeah, right now, the conventional rail is correct, it's 36.
6 inches.
Then you're going to 42, so we're going to raise, suggestion is to at least raise the front portion of the wall 6 inches to account for not having so much vertical height on the railing picket system. Is that my understanding, what you're getting at?
I think it would relate to the rest of the railing all around the project better too.
Yeah,
Even the glass rail will be
Yeah.
at that 36.
yeah.
Okay.
So
I mean,
We can agree on that.
is that somewhat more comfortable?
I'm comfortable.
Okay.
okay.
Julie?
And the center's still going to be pickets, or?
No.
It
that's
will
gonna
be the
a
planter? Okay. Okay, just so we're clear on that.
Yeah, there'll be a planter.
And I thought we talked about eliminating down below too, and Doug had mentioned planters down there, correct?
I thought that, to me, that works with the idea and it breaks down the scale of the tall wall, so I don't see any problems with it.
Are at the bottom of those stair runs are gates, right?
They're gates.
Correct.
Okay. So they're 36.
They're 36.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you're 36 and up.
and
Top
36,
and
so
bottom.
they'll match.
Yeah, that would be.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
All right. Anyone write down all those conditions?
No.
I think
I'm a little fuzzy on the massing, I've got
got, I'll just tell you what I have here. I have, the dormers are acceptable, vertical windows are acceptable, screens are acceptable, brass railings are acceptable, except that you want, black handrails. Level 3, same idea. The shingles, we have agreed to use the banded and the accent pieces that you like. The front terrace, we're going to be using some sort of a monolithic planter or planters, plural, to be the divider. The side entrance, we're going to use a single glass door, and then the massing.
With glass side lights
Side lights.
up to the transom?
Yeah,
And
transom. The whole
transom.
thing is glass, yeah.
Going all the way up to the transom.
Right.
Transitable glass. And I think on the front wall, we're going to raise the front by 6 inches.
That's what I have here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to make it.
I would change that to say, make the railings 36.
Across the whole thing. Got it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that's it.
And that's it.
Okay. So who would like to make the motion?
Somebody who just wrote down all those things, which I get lost.
I can make a copy of your notes before we go.
Julie, I can take a picture and send it to you.
That's fine.
We need to read them as part of the motion.
Yeah.
I can't claim to have this perfected in terms of that last massing one, so you can
Okay.
feel free to tinker with it, but I think I have the gist of it.
Patrick, let
Read
me
my
just go make a
scribbling.
copy of this, the notes that we just agreed to,
Okay?
and then you won't have to write them all down again.
Okay.
There's a Xerox.
It's fine with me.
There's the Xerox machine downstairs.
Those are attorney-client privilege, so.
Secret investor.
Terrace.
We appreciate the back and forth.
Thank you for,
Thank you for that. Very helpful.
I think it's it's an awesome project. I hope you guys can do it. It's really nice.
We're hoping it's something excellent to be proud of.
And if you can just do half of this stuff, it's going to be great.
We're trying.
what's the latest with the IOCA?
The delay has been obtaining the Army,
Corps of
Army
Engineers.
Corps, thank you, Army Corps of Engineer permits and all of them. So now we're finally starting, and hopefully it'll start to accelerate pretty soon. We're bringing in the steel framing inside, which would be a challenge. Fortunately, we don't have to peel the roof off. They figured out a way to get the steel in without taking the roof off.
You're going to crane it in through the flyway?
Yeah,
Existing
yes.
flyway?
Oh,
Yeah, they're going to have to basically build a steel building inside of the old masonry building to keep it for seismic and so on.
The hot tub is no longer in the basement.
What's that?
The hot tub is no longer.
Did that.
And this one.
When I talked to them, when we said.
You could take the baptismal font out of here and put it in there.
Well, they looked for the new floors. It's got-
There's a lot of copper in that.
The building, it doesn't
Yes.
need any of the seismic.
We'll probably be selling it.
If it was the same price it used to be,
Yeah.
$4 a pound or whatever it was.
Somebody might want that as a tool.
I doubt it.
Did you get this other page here?
One was the block,
Let me just take a picture.
Yeah, well, anything where you get involved with the Corps of Engineers,
It'll be part of the
the
application.
river, all of it's
You'll get a copy.
time-consuming.
Thank you.
Yeah,
right.
about time.
So do you want me to read this and then someone will say so moved?
Yep.
Okay, people, we're doing this.
You'd like to hear a motion for whatever.
Next project.
Okay, 7, 8.
All the manufacturers are going to squeeze what they can out of it. Of course, now the interest rates, they can bring the interest rates down. And there's all the extra costs with the backlogs and so on.
I'm trying to read these notes.
I'm sorry. Yeah, hey.
We have one more, huh?
I was just looking at them.
Okay, so we have,
I'm not going to say anything on this.
Okay.
Let Patrick do this one.
Do you want me to read it out? And someone can so move.
I think, Patrick, all you need to do is say, I'm looking for a motion for,
Those aren't descriptive enough, they're shorthand.
okay, yeah, because I was trying to figure him out.
Okay.
All right,
I'd like to call for a motion of conditional approval with the following conditions. Proposed gable dormers to break up the scale. The double height curtain wall on the gable ends with spandrel glass. The proposed glass railings at the upper units with a black guardrail,
and base.
and base. Glass balcony rails with a black handrail at the level 3 balconies. A banded alternating pattern for the proposed roof shingles.
I'd say as shown, or as presented.
As presented.
side door,
It's getting there.
front door.
The divider at the front terrace to be single monolithic planter or series of planters for division. To reduce the height of the front terrace railing to 36 inches by raising the terrace wall. And the side entrance to be single glass door with glass side lights
And transom.
extended to existing transom.
Replace transom, right? Replacing the transom? The wood transom with the glass?
Yeah, I think what he said is good. Okay, so you're looking for the motion of,
Yes.
well, I will move, Mr. Chair, your suggested motion with the conditions as listed,
Okay. Do I have a
as
second?
appropriate,
Sorry.
as an appropriate certificate of appropriateness.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for working with us. It's always good to, it's something this size, but it's good.
Sure.
Still wonder where everyone's gonna park.
yeah, you can have these.
Other than that, it's gonna be lovely. I still wonder where anyone's gonna park, but it's gonna be lovely.
What I wanted to ask isn't something that we do, but about what's going to happen to the stained glass? You know, like sell it or
I think
Put
they
it-
are looking to do something like that, salvage place.
Yeah.
I can remember them around here.
yeah.
Just gotta quit buying such old buildings.
I know that's 2 down.
Yeah. There'll be a day when we don't have to wear these. That's not in not in the near future, I don't think. Let's see.
Stratum just decided to do their own thing.
Did they?
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Dan. Thank you.
Thank you. Additional. Okay,
Moving right along.
moving right along. Next is the application of Hampshire Development Corporation for the change in appearance to the existing structure located at 173 to 179 Water Street, including minor reconfiguration of storefronts and entry points, new windows in the existing openings, and proposed new window locations. Subject property is in the WC Waterfront Commercial Zoning District, and it is case number 22-2. All right.
Good evening.
Hello.
For those of you who don't know me, my name is Steve Wilson. I live in Kensington. I've been around this area for quite a long time. I'm here with Shane Forsley. I own Hampshire Development Corp., so we're general contractors and developers in the area. You'll notice the owner of the property is Jones and Wilson. Kevin Jones, who used to own Jamie Supply, and I have been purchasing and renovating and mostly renting properties in the Seacoast area for 15 years. My company, Hampshire Development, working for the Friedmans, Bert and his dad, 1999 renovated this property, redid the storefronts, and I don't know if any of you guys go back to those days. It's scary to me that I do, so we were very familiar with the property. We watched the process of it going through site plan approval and HDC approval by a previous applicant to basically demolish the rear 2/3 of the building and rebuild it in a 4-story configuration with parking under and 3 levels of residential above. That's not our vision for this property. Our vision and intended use for the property is not to demolish what's there, but we're more like restoration people. So we're looking to improve the facade of the building to provide modern access, continue to utilize at least the front of the building as offices on the 3rd floor, which are right now leased, and retail tenants. George and Phillips has moved to the corner of the building in a much smaller space, and the Krypton toy and comic book shop, which you should visit, by the way. It's really a cool store. It seems to be settled in and doing well there, and it leaves about half of the storefront left vacant by George and Phillips. So, as you look at your package, I think what I'd like to do, and I'm open to suggestions on this, but I'd like to keep things sort of organized geometrically, so looking at the front of the building, the sides and the rear of the building and discussing them. There's also some preliminary floor plans in here, which are a little hard to project because we don't have a tenant for the space yet, so add some logic to what we want to do on the outside of the building. So in the second page of the application, you'll see an existing photograph on the top. You'll see a historic photo, which there's not a lot of a tremendous amount of historic information on the building. We do know that it was built in 3 phases. First phase was approximately 60 by 80, 2 stories, which is still existing. You're looking at the front of that here. The second edition was 60 by 80, 2 stories, the basement, I'll call it the basement. The building banks towards the rear, so it becomes exposed on the lower level. And then the third edition was a single story above an open parking area to the rear. So it's basically 3/3, 3 increments of 1/3. So if you look at this upper current photo, you'll see on the far right of the building, there's a single door which was added at some point and eliminates some of the storefront. It provides a emergency access or emergency exit from the upstairs. It's not active, it only operates in one direction, and it's an alarm door, so that gives them their second means of egress from the top. Working from the right to the left, you have a short storefront, a double door that enters George and Phillips, another double door. One leaf is inactive that goes to the second, that provides access to the elevator to the second floor and the lower level. And then you see the singular entrance on the left that serves both what was the Cleaners is now George and Phillips on the corner, and the Krypton store. So that just gives you a image of what it was, what it is now. And there's, if you study it, it's like one of those Cracker Jack prizes, see what's different in this photo than the other. But effectively, what we're trying to do, and you'll see in the 4th page of the presentation, the first large page, you see the existing building from the 1999 renovation, which shows as I just described to you, the single door from the second floor, the 2 sets of double doors, and the 2 single doors that go into Krypton and now George and Phillips. What we're proposing on that elevation is we're rerouting the emergency exit from the upper level to the alley on the side to land that we own that intersects with the sidewalk that's there and extends to the public way in the rear. That allows us to infill that with a storefront as it was, and reactivates more of the storefront for merchandising and display for that store. Working towards the left, you see that we've taken and eliminated one of the first set of double doors. We then put a storefront in between those that continues to view into the retail area, and a single door that continues to access the elevator lobby and stair lobby for the second level. So the reason we had wanted to put that door in the center of the building, in that center bay, but you see how the grade slopes away from the floor elevation. So from what was there before, when it was Woolworths and the coal company, et cetera, there was no code about how many stairs you had to go up to get into a store or anything like that. And also, it appears the street level was higher than, more flat from right to left. So you see on the front of the building, in addition to those 2 things, we would be using the same materials that are there. The windows and doors are built. They're not Pella or Anderson or anything like that. The new storefronts would be built in the same way, thermally insulated glass and a custom surround. And what you don't see on this picture, we'll see later on, is on the right corner, there was a side window also going into the store that was cut off by that stair from upstairs that was added sometime after the construction of the building. Additionally, we would activate that window in the same opening as brick. Couple other little things that we wanted to do was, in the 99 renovation, I think when we had run out of money, we put a tin cap on that parapet out front, and it appears as though that was initially a enamel-faced CMU. So it was a brick or a block that had a white enamel on it, and it was laid in the form of a block. So we'd like to bring that back to the original. It's actually has the same form, and also where it says Smith Building is that same enamelized brick that's all deteriorated, so we would have new field made there that said Smith Building, and the medallions that are at the heads of the upper windows, et cetera, the same material. They've all spalled from moisture getting behind them and popping the enamel off of them, but we can get those units in an original looking fashion from Jeunesse Brick Company. So
The center accent at the top of the arch, are you thinking of returning that as well? In the, from the historic photo? Directly above the B in Smith Building?
The Keystone, you mean?
Yeah.
yeah, where it pops up like that.
Yeah, see how on the old photo it has like a medallion, it looks
Yeah.
like Pennsylvania.
So that was originally a medallion, then they turned it into just a bent piece of cap.
Right.
So we would infill that with, say, 4 of the same blocks. I can't give you the scale right now, but, and then it would be a single block going off on either direction, as the historic photo shows. If we, I mean, I'm open, I guess it makes sense for you to ask these questions on the front of the building now before I move on to the next elevation, so.
And the sign band, which right now has all those various little shapes and sizes and aren't defined by any storefront edge, you're looking to make them a little bit more coordinated, I guess is the word. Or maybe not. Depends on the tenant, right?
Yeah, I mean, it would depend upon the tenant. It's been our way. I mean, I don't want to make a commitment where I'm going to ask somebody to tear down what they have there. It's been our practice to provide a uniform signage on the front of a building. And the letters that you see there now are sort of a sign within a sign band, rather than using the sign band as telegraphing that, those windows. So yes, that would be something that as we're ongoing. And this is a bit of a work in process,
Sure.
okay? So we could,
No, it's appropriate to have a sign within the sign band. It's not necessarily.
yeah, but they're all different now. I think if you
Yeah.
look at it, there's no
Yeah.
continuity to it. You actually have, I think, what is a banner on the left-hand side that says Exeter Cleaners.
Yep.
And so I'm not prepared to present what that will look like tonight, but I think it's a good point that we want the building to look, and the components to it to look like they were intended when the building was built, within reason, okay?
The sign band that's there existing, the white, that's not going to change in dimension, right?
No,
It's not going to change in
we're not
height.
gonna do anything. We're actually just, when we rebuild these storefronts, they're gonna be built in the same panel configuration with the same coloration. I think the door colors will change.
What I mean is the vertical height of that white signboard?
No, that would
That's-
stay the
that's there.
same.
That'll stay the same height?
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, we can come back to it, but is there anything else obvious that we should talk about on the front?
I just wish they would have
I know.
lined things up a
I
little
know.
better.
That's what I was thinking too. It's like the bottom, the
From
brick
the
columns on
existing-
the bottom
from
are,
the- yeah, the
don't line up with
openings.
anything.
The tenant openings on the bottom don't relate to the upper story openings at all,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
But
But
they,
it is what it is.
Yeah, you know what, I'm gonna
never
say
did.
something about that. I think in an ideal world, you could spend a tremendous amount of time and a tremendous amount of money trying to make everything symmetrical as it may have been or not in
Or
the
not.
day. What we're trying to do is reactivate a rental property
Mm-hmm.
downtown. And so we're not going to be condominiumizing it and passing it off to individual owners, et cetera. So I say that out loud because it really is a fundamental premise to any project that you do. Are you gonna try to make a business use out of it again, or are you gonna convert it and, as I say, turn it into a condominium association?
We're not
So-
suggesting you do that.
So we left that
move
alone
on.
as it is, as it had been approved.
Yeah, we're not suggesting you do that.
Okay, so, yeah, I just was
It's already there.
Yeah, it's already there. So if you look at the next page, A 2.0, you'll see once again the front of the building, which we've discussed. You'll see below that, I won't go to the rear of the building immediately. So the what I'll call the right-hand side of the east elevation of the building, we are proposing to reinstall the side storefront that had been bricked in before, and also to add the doorway, which will provide an emergency egress to the walkway from the second floor, but also the basement that serves both areas. And we were going to add 3 double-hung windows, which are symmetrical with the 3 double-hung windows on the other side, which never existed. Okay, I'll make that point. They did on the other side of the building, but there were those windows weren't on this side. But they provide essential light and exposure to the retail level at that point. Continuing from left to right, we have put in what you might categorize as we make a transition to a more, I'll call it industrial or commercial looking window with an awning that would serve an office tenant, because this building being 180 feet long, it's unlikely that we're going to get a tenant that for retail use that goes 180 feet deep and 30 feet wide at the front, at the street front. That's just probably 100 feet deeper than any store would be designed. And we're going to make a transition at some point to hopefully professional offices or some more service-related use in the back, doctors, attorneys, but professional offices. And we transition that area to a different type of window, which is more appropriate for that use, but also continues to telegraph a commercial building rather than a residential double-hung type of a window.
Can I ask you a question while you're
Sure.
in the middle of that? The vertical line that is the break between the double hung and the new proposed storefront with the awnings below, is that a step in plan, or is that a vertical control joint?
It's a control joint, and it's shown primarily, I'll get into why that's shown, but there are no control joints on that side of the building, so you'll see some cracking on that side of the building, particularly at the union of the overhung garage area and the new building. So when they didn't provide expansion control there, of course, there's 2 different materials. There's a block wall with brick veneer, and then it goes to a wood frame wall with a brick veneer. Well, they're not compatible, so they shrunk and contracted and expanded and provided these non-structural cracking. So we're putting those in, so we felt it was appropriate to show those on the plan.
You're just gonna saw cut those and then
Yeah,
put it in
saw cut them
flexible
and you put a
material?
backer rod in, and then you caulk them with a brick colored, it's something you see in every building that's built in the last 50 years probably, but not in this one. So continuing from left to right, we are proposing, and I'll say this because this material, it says new metal louvers between perimeter steel columns. So our intention is to use that as parking, but not to have it be climate controlled. And if you completely enclose that area, then you have to deal with the potential for, it becomes indoor space or an indoor parking garage. So by doing a staggered horizontal panel there, we're able to hide all of the structural steel behind it, and also you won't see beyond it to see what automobiles are there or whatever, and basically take out what I think is kind of an ugly element to the building. That wall has to be 50% permeable, otherwise you have to provide a very difficult CO evacuation system and detection system in that area, so that's the sort of the logic behind it. So if we continue around to the rear, which is the upper right, the back north elevation, you'll see a continuation of that slat. Then you'll see an open grill overhead door, which once again provides security and some weather resistance, but continues to have that as an open area. There's a passage door to the right of that, and a continuation of the horizontal ribbed panels to the rear. My vision of that is probably a baked Conair, I'll call it a Conair color, but what you're used to seeing, the Conair storefronts are the dark brown, sort of goes away, anodized aluminum.
Anodized? Bronze anodized.
Yeah, bronze anodized. Up above that, you see a continuation of the same window with a large panel above and an awning panel below for ventilation. A new cap would go on that roof, although it's not called out. It's right now, it's sort of a beat-up piece of metal that hangs over, but that would be complementary to the louvers below. And the windows you see above, and you see the back side of the front parapet wall, those are all existing and to remain. The last elevation you see at the left side, or the
Before you go to that elevation?
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
On the rear, the 4-panel window assembly that's in the center of the rear
Yeah,
elevation, are those wide moles on either side of the center line, or are
Yes,
those
they
going to
are.
be bricked?
they're wide mulls in this elevation, they're not brick.
So it'll match the window
Correct.
frame?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
If I did those in brick, they would look like new brick. So it's sort of it would be a nice gesture, but it would be misinterpreted in reality. So,
I just wanted clarification, thank you.
no, that's okay. And we did some pro forma layouts for the interior, if you will, so that led us to the spacing of these windows to provide rooms beyond that were symmetrical. So, if we go on to the left side elevation, or the west, you'll see that there are 2 large overhead doors there that would have 4 parking spaces that pulled straight in. The other side is center loaded. That'll be better explained in the future floor plans when I show you those. And we've provided this, and there's 2 existing doors on the side of the building just beyond or to the right of the garage transition. We would open up, enhance, and provide a standing seam canopy protection over those doors, and those would provide an entrance to the future offices above and to the activated basement or banked basement area. The door to the right of that double door is an existing door. It's shown blank because it's an emergency exit from the upper level. It stores stairs existing beyond it. And then there's a metal panel door that feeds a conveyor where the retailers can load their product, and it goes up on a conveyor upstairs. That's how they used to get all the sneakers up there. And that would remain, still serves its purpose. If you continue to move to the right, you'll see the windows that have a star on them are new windows in existing openings. So back in the day, instead of replacing these windows, they just bricked them over. And so the 4 closest to Water Street were existing, and continue to exist. And what we're proposing is to replace, as they did, every other window, because those windows are very close together on the inside, and sort of chop the space up, and it's existing space, so existing store, so we don't want to get into tearing that apart. And down below, you'll see that we are proposing to activate every other window on that level to provide usable space down there. So there's a lot of light and a lot of freeboard downstairs, but there are no windows. The windows still exist, but they're boarded over. So,
Is this elevation true to what's existing there, that they don't stack on each other?
correct.
Wow.
I know, that's what
Yeah.
I was,
What are they doing?
well, they all do
No
except for the.
HDC in those days. They just put them wherever they needed them.
That's right.
But they are
They do,
they
except
are
for the last
symmetrical to
2.
each other. So on each level, they're the same space apart, et cetera, but they're stacked vertically, they're not.
It's so weird.
And then continuing to the front, everything from the vertical transition to the front exists. And you see the storefront, side storefront, which we're replicating on the other side. And you see the windows into what is now George and Phillips. And, yeah, that's about all I can describe to you on that side. If we move forward, you'll see a basement plan which illustrates the parking. Just happens to lay out perfectly for your parking requirements. You'll see the double door entrance from the alley and how it goes into a lobby, and a stairway going up and a new elevator. And that hallway continues to an exit on the other side, which provides an essential third means of egress from the upstairs. Things are shown here, the conveyor that's existing, the stairs that are existing, so it gives you a feeling for what's going on inside and how that interfaces with the new fenestrations on the outside.
Quick question.
Go ahead.
The elevator will have, depending on where it's located in its final location, will have an overrun, correct?
It actually is going to be a Lula elevator. There's already a full-service elevator in the front of the building, so it'll be one that is limited use, limited access elevator. That would be all that would be required.
Okay. And
So
would you
somebody
have-
in a wheelchair would be able to get up there, so no, there's no overrun.
would you have a egress stair penetrate the roof as well?
No,
A requirement for that?
no.
Okay.
Where does your trash go?
Excuse me?
Where does your trash go?
Where does our trash go? We have right now a dumpster that's back at the, I'm going to call it the lower left corner of this plan where it says typical concrete or plastic wheel stop. We have a small dumpster there. They haven't previously had dumpster service to the building. And, it's not really an essential component, but it turns into a lot of trash, in my view, out on the street, et cetera. It's like at my property at 81 High Street, we have a dumpster there because I don't want people putting their trash on the road and all the blow around that goes along with that. So at $200 a month, you really can't afford not to have one. My thought there would be to run the lateral slat by 6 or 8 feet and enclose that in that area on that landscape spot there. So I can speak to the architect about adding that to this
I
drawing.
think that, as I understand it, the town is trying to activate the waterfront and provide more, but right now it's kind of the back door to most of the commercial buildings, retail buildings, and they're trying to make it, give something back to that space and the pedestrian use of that space. So I think you're just cleaning up the building in the rear will help a lot, but things like trash, I think, are important just to keep it
Yeah,
presentable to the public who walks through there. I walk through there myself with my dog quite a lot, and I'm hoping that it continues to be improved.
yeah, we wouldn't just leave it hanging out there, but let me just say this. What you talk about of activation of the waterfront is what's happening in my view there is
No,
that,
What do you mean evacuation?
No.
Talk about activation.
I said activation.
Activating more people. My hearing's not too.
Yeah, that's what I said. I was mimicking your
Sorry.
phrase. All the buildings ignore the waterfront too.
Yeah.
So this building in particular was built as a Woolworths. So the retailer in those days didn't want any windows in his building unless they faced the street. So them closing off all of these windows that existed at one point was not by chance. It's not because they didn't want to buy new windows. It gave them more merchandising space inside. But also the back of this building has a fantastic view of the water. I mean, it's unbelievable. And so when you stand on the roof, you feel it. And you see what you're going to see out of those windows. And it's to me, this is almost what we're doing here. We're really trying to give this building two fronts.
Yeah,
And,
I applaud that. I think that's good. I think you
yeah,
should
thank you.
like to see you push it as hard as you can.
Yeah,
As hard as you
and-
can afford.
And I really, we're in the process of retesting soils and structure in the back of the building, because it may be that we at some point want to add a residential component to the back of the building. Like, if I'm able to do what I want to do, I'd like to have another story and a story under roof. As they say, they don't actually call it a story, but it is, rather than 3 more stories of new building. So if it comes down to tearing down the building in order to achieve that, we would not do that. We think that's too sacrificial to the architecture of the area and beyond what we should be doing with this building.
So the intent right now is just to leave that existing roof as is?
Yeah.
And not try to develop that as a rooftop?
Correct.
for
I
any
mean,
reason?
obviously, I'd be back here if I had to, but there's a lot more study that has to go into it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the previous applicant derided the structure in order to justify tearing the building down, but we start with a fresh slate, so we threw away his engineering, and we're trying to find out what's truly possible and smart. Okay, so I just wanted to say that.
Can I make a request? If
Excuse-
you propose that upper story, can you align the windows?
I think we would, yes.
Thank you.
For now, that's what Kevin and I would like to do to the building. I think my opinion, and I'll say that not to be presumptuous, is that it's in line with what we would be expecting to have done to a building like this in order to reactivate it and make it marketable, providing some private parking to even a commercial tenant here would be a unique to the waterfront, and I think an essential component. So rather than close that in and try to rent the space to somebody, I think it serves the tenants more than it serves a different use.
What's the footprint of this building? What's the square footage?
Big.
It's 180 by 80. So it's 14,400? The building
Where's
in
my
itself is
calculator?
27,000 square feet.
Okay.
So there's 4,800 square feet on the 3rd floor. 12,000, oh God. I can't do the math in my head right now. It's too late.
Yeah.
Quick question. The commercial space windows for future tenants in the back, you said either awnings or hoppers on the lower portion of those punched openings?
Awning windows,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. So either awning or hopper, so interior screens on those, and you just have the vertical glass
Correct,
on
that's
there?
the way that type of window
And-
it has to, because the awning opens out, so the screen has to be inside.
Yeah. Question about the trim on the outside. Are you going to use a traditional brick mold? Or are
I
you
would
going?
use a minimal brick mold around those windows. It wouldn't be like an eastern cased window or even
Okay.
a western cased window. It would be a window that was set in the masonry with a 3/4 inch molding around it, just to cover the area trim up the area between the window and the brick.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure they're going to be trimmed and not flushed.
No. And we use the existing 1/1s as a model for the new windows. So they'd have the same mull, the same vertical spacing, the same mull pattern. And that's consistent through the historical photos. If you look at the historical photo, I think that's a cottage-style window where the lower pane is larger than the upper pane. But when they replaced them with consistent sizes up and down.
Doug, any other questions?
I think it's a welcome improvement to the downtown.
Okay, great.
I would encourage you to keep dreaming about that rear side in the future. I think it could be a big addition to the waterfront. Big improvement to the waterfront in the future.
Yeah, I think tastefully done, it could be very nice. I mean, I don't love the flat roof, and I think if we had even added shape to that roof, it would be an improvement. But I've got to wait until we have our test borings done. I can't rely on the previous information, so
Yeah.
I'm optimistic about it, though.
Didn't the town either sell or give the right-of-way of a little tiny sliver of the bottom?
Yeah, if you look at the basement floor plan.
Yeah.
And particularly the rear wall where the garage door opens.
Yep.
They gave a piece of that property to connect that door opening to the
Yeah.
right-of-way out back. And the alley between our building and the larger alley that you can drive through, not where the
steps are, yeah.
walkway, that land belongs to us. And we maintain that alleyway as a public access. And we own, so the town actually deeded that piece of property to us,
It was
I
a
believe.
sliver, yeah. Well, I think it's very sensitive. You're not making a whole lot of change to the front. You're just kind of rearranging good retail space that we had once, and then it got changed many times. I appreciate the repair of what the materials and the pattern of the medallions and the capstones, etc., in the front. And the sides, to me, are what the sides are.
The side elevations?
Yeah, I mean, that's,
Oh, you mean the alignments?
yeah, and you know, what's existing is what's existing, and what's new is new. I mean, you can't,
Yeah.
it's already distinguishable, so, you know,
They-
making changes to that is.
I mean, some of the things you see on here in the historical photo, like, they didn't think anything of spanning 30 feet
Yeah, I
with a couple of heavy timbers. There's no vertical structure there at all between the center columns and the outside corners. And the other thing I'll ask you this, because I'm truly interested in your feedback, is that the brick on the front of the building, as you see in the current photo, is what I'd call a fire brick. That's like this yellow brick. And on the picture below, it looks like in the columns are red brick. The whole rest of the building is red brick, except those bricks out front. Is it possible that they changed that brick? Because this historic photo looks like red brick everywhere. It doesn't look like there's any change. And I really hate the yellow brick, just to be honest with you. I'm not sure of the expense of peeling it off, but we're doing it on a building up in Portsmouth right now, the old Cabot House. We're peeling the whole outside width of a multi-width wall off to make the brick look right.
I don't know, it's got the same, like if you look in the center, under the Smith Building banner, the infill spaces, you know, between the windows have a design in both photos.
I'm going to say,
Yeah, I see
when
what
it
you
was
mean,
origi-
yeah.
when it was originally done,
Yeah.
that was a masonry facade all the way across, and that storefront down there below didn't exist at all. I think that was all, in addition, that was all a renovation. So
Well,
all
we're
that
not
brick down there
proposing
is
to
different.
change it. I just wondered
I know.
if any of you knew.
Yeah.
No, it was modern in
There's
its
there's
time.
probably a photo in the Historical Society.
There's all kinds of them.
A question for you, the new window openings that are in the front portion of the building, that have the existing brick brows right now at the headers, you've got a square window going into those openings that match the existing, that panel that's above the flat head of that window. What is the material of those windows?
That's a wood filler. Actually, those windows never went to the arch.
Right,
They
right.
always had this shaped filler, so it goes from like an inch on either side to 5 inches in the center.
Yeah.
So it'd be the same, it would appear as the trim of the window when
Are
it was in
the
there.
existing windows all wood and you're proposing all wood?
What I'd like to use is a clad window, that has the same profile as the wood window.
Okay. Aluminum clad?
Yeah, or vinyl.
No vinyl.
Do you have
No vinyl.
All right, aluminum clad.
Okay.
I mean, that's the most prevalent material anyway. They'd have a wood core and a aluminum front.
Yeah. And then your brick mold will snap right in too.
Correct.
Okay, aluminum clad. Would that panel above then be metal too then? Aluminum clad?
Yeah, I presume so, yes.
Okay. I have no other questions, comments. Pam?
I think it looks good.
Julie?
No, I think it's very respectful of what we think the building was like when it was originally done.
Yeah.
And like I said, I appreciate going back to some original materials as much as you can to identify or enhance what's deteriorated. I think that'll be really great.
One question, or not question, but clarification. When you do have tenant spaces that go in there, I assume they're going to be conditioned spaces. So you're going to have condensing units on the top of that flat roof, existing flat roof?
They're already there.
They do?
They're, most of the rooftop units are there's two on the rear portion. Because the building's so big, they're right in the middle of the roof, so you don't really see them. So those rooftop units are brand new.
Okay.
And so are the ones on top of the other building. Those are like 5-ton package units, so they're only about this high off the roof. And once again, you don't really see them because they're in the center. When you get 80 feet in, 40 feet in from each side.
Yep, that's what we would ask.
So they're existing, I'm not changing anything with that.
Okay.
And I understand if I need to make changes to this plan or additions, I know that I have to come back in here and work them out with you, so. And I'll add that Hampshire Development has done literally probably more than 100 historic renovations. Even in town here, we did the old Eventide Nursing Home, which I still
Oh,
own.
you did that? Yeah, I used to be
And
on
we rent the
the board of
apartments
directors.
there. And George and Phillips and Exeter Cycles and King Chevrolet and on and on and on. So we've been around a while. But we know how to make a building look like it should.
Yeah.
All right, may I call for a motion to accept the application?
Move to accept the application.
All right, I have a second.
Second.
Oh, go ahead, Deb.
All right, all in favor of accepting?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Aye.
that means we have enough information to be able to make a decision.
Understood.
Any other further discussion needed, questions, comments from commission members? Before I call for a motion of appropriateness?
No,
Hearing none,
I-
I'll call for a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the proposal for, what number street is it?
173-179 Water Street. if that's what-
173-179 Water Street as proposed, or presented.
No conditions?
I don't think so, as presented, I said.
Aluminum clad windows?
Aluminum clad windows, yes.
No vinyl.
I think that's it, right? That's the only one.
Yep.
Okay, do I have a second for that motion?
Second.
Thank you, Pam. All in favor?
Aye,
All right, so approved.
Thank you all very much.
thank you.
Alrighty then.
Right, what's next?
Hampshire Development.
Now we're all over High Street here.
Oh, cow, what time is it?
It is 9:30, okay.
All right, moving right along.
Yep.
What's the next one?
Approved. With
69 High Street.
Thank you for a complete application. All right, next is the application of Ted Lavoie of Yankee Construction For replacement of windows in the existing residence at 69 High Street. The subject property is located in the R2 Single Family Residential Zoning District and is case number 22-3.
What is
He
69?
just happens to have a window right with it.
I'm looking.
This is what we're asking for.
Good evening. I'm
Which-
Ted Lavoie from Yankee Construction, and I'm here to present our case here to replace the windows at my client here, Kevin Baum's house at 69 High Street.
Okay.
We had unique opportunity.
You need to speak into the mic or take it with you, just so it gets recorded. Thank you.
Apologies, sorry. We have the unique opportunity to actually bring what we're proposing in for you guys tonight to take a look at.
Don't tell me they're already ordered.
No, they are not.
Okay.
So, we did 2 bathrooms at the house over the summer into the fall. And in the process of remodeling the bathrooms, we noticed that the windows, sorry, I'm just going to put this off to the side. That's right.
Sure, yeah.
Sorry. So anyways, we added a bathroom on the 3rd floor of the house, and there was a window there. Doug Eastman let us, since it was up in the gable end, not facing the street or anything, he said, why don't you go ahead, order something safe to replace that. So we went ahead and ordered this one. In the midst of that, we then remodeled the bathroom down below, discovering a window that we did not even know existed in the home, buried behind the tile shower.
Nice.
Yeah, well, you can see it from the outside, but even Kevin, being the homeowner, didn't realize where that window was actually located. So as we pulled the tile down, I was like, oh, well. So anyways, what we're looking to do here is replace all the windows on the, what'd you say, High Street side? High Street and potentially, what's Gardner? And Gardner Street.
Okay, do you have any pictures or elevations of the house, or
Yes, so.
so we know the quantity of windows, what they look like currently, and all that good stuff? Or
Correct,
is
yeah.
it-
Is it possible to pull up an email through that?
I
That's
don't
a good
know.
question.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe Exeter TV. Help us with that?
Yeah, I don't know if there's email on that computer.
Okay. So anyways, yes, so what we'd like to do is take each.
Is this the Gilman Tenney house?
What's that?
Is this the Gilman Tenney house? Tenney Gilman house?
This is Kit Cornell's old house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I probably has another historic name, but I think it will
No,
always be the
We
Kit
know what you
Cornell
mean.
house.
Okay, now we know what
So-
you mean.
It's Kit Cornell's house, yes.
Yeah, and I'll just, as Ted brings it up, so the goal here is ultimately to replace all the, to replace the windows. The 3rd floor are all replacement windows already. It's an old house, about we believe it's about 1870. Windows are all, with that age, very low to the ground. We've got, young kids that are getting taller by the minute, but it's low windows, only open from the bottom. We'd just like more functional windows and a better insulated window, so we can also ultimately get rid of the aluminum storms, which, that house, as will come up, it's a beautiful house. It's got amazing detail, especially on the High Street side. And it's just such a shame to have those, frankly, terrible storms covering it up. And so the goal is to ultimately replace those and
I think we agree with everything you just said. We just need to know what is being replaced.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm filling time while he brings it up. I know, and for our neighbors who are up next, I was like watching the time click down too.
What shape are the current windows in?
It varies. So
Okay.
some of them are, some of them are in okay shape. Like I said, the 3rd floor ones are all replacement. And we're frankly cheap windows to begin with.
And those are part of the proposal of replacement?
Those are part of proposed to replace, yeah.
Okay. Keeping existing frames, are they inserts or are they a full
All
frame?
inserts. So the exterior, as I understand it, is going to remain the same, other than we can pull those, we can pull the storms off. And then in terms of, some of the windows are in good shape, some of them aren't. Obviously, the one that was tiled over is broken and is a mess. And then there are a variety of, some of the glass is broken. It's all thin single pane. We already had one somehow child's butt go through the window because it's that thin, that type of thing. And then just over time, they've just deteriorated. And again, part of the issue, you're going to hear me harping on the storms, but part of the issue is it does make it that much more difficult to maintain them because you got to take everything off, get in there. So.
Well, you're talking to somebody who lives up the street and
Right.
has huge triple track storm windows, but I have the original windows, on the inside, and so they, when you talk to window replacement people, they want to try to have you keep the original ones, but if they've already been replaced once, then
Well, I want to be clear. The third floor
has replacements.
have replacement windows. I don't want to mislead you. And the second and first floor, which are frankly the windows that you see more, those are, from what I can tell, original windows.
Yeah, I just wanted to make it clear there is a purpose behind what everybody knows as ugly triple track storm windows, and they served their purpose at a time when keeping the. I like to describe a house as it.
Were you able to get on?
I think he just ran out. He was supposed to pull them out back ordered.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Everything moves together. So as your house settles, the windows move with it. And
Sure.
So there was. It's not a movement, but just the reason you didn't replace windows, it was too expensive, and they came with some nice windows. So you put storm windows on them to help, and they sold wildly all over the place, and that's why they all look the same and they're ugly.
Right. Well, and they're great and they're functional, but they are ugly and the they're just, there's modern windows are just much more functional now in terms of ease of use and cleaning and all of those things. So I know who I'm talking to, so I say that cautiously. But
Did he leave the building?
He just ran out.
Okay. Do you mind if we skip
no.
to the next application?
No,
Okay.
not at all. Why don't we, I don't want to hold you guys up. As much as I love standing here and holding court, but it's getting late.
May I have a motion to temporarily pause this application?
So move.
All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much for being understanding. Next would be the application of Chris Weeks for new construction of a proposed garage addition to the existing residence at 82 High Street. The subject property is located in the R2 Single Family Zoning District, and it is case number 22-4.
Thank you.
you doing?
Hi, everyone. My name is Chris Weeks. I'm the owner-architect of Penn Lane Architects. I'm here on behalf of the homeowners of 82 High Street tonight. One of them is here. It's Emily Zajano, and the other owner is Jason Murray. He might be watching remotely. If he is, hi, Jason. So they have a beautiful Victorian Queen Anne style home at 82 High Street. It's a single-family home on a pretty large rectangular lot. It's kind of long and narrow. And what we are proposing is, the existing home is kind of long, and it mirrors the lot in that it is long and kind of narrow in the middle, and it is pushed more to the west side of the lot. And we're proposing adding a two-car garage to the end of the property. So we do have one full-size drawing that I made for you with several views on it. We wanted to get this in front of you as soon as we could to get your feedback on it before we get too much farther down the road on the design. So we have a kind of a carriage style house, or a garage, I'm sorry. It'll have 2 bays, each will have their own individual door. Within the packet, I included a cut sheet for a clopay door of the style that we were looking at, because the drawing isn't necessarily representative of the carriage house style door that we'll be using. The garage doors are 9 foot wide by 8 foot high, so that they're sized for modern vehicles. It is a 2-story addition, but the roof line, it has a pitched roof. The roof line comes down to the 1st story. We're trying to kind of minimize the massing. We don't want it to be very tall in the property, so we kind of want to bring it down and in deference to the land around it, and not to be too large of a scale. So there's a dormer on the front, a gable-ended dormer. The plane on the front of the dormer is in line with the face of the 1st level. And then we have proposing a shed dormer on the back to make the 2nd floor space more usable. There will be double hung windows at various locations on the 1st and 2nd floors of the garage. We'll propose wood windows with, I think I might have had an aluminum clad, I'm sorry, a vinyl clad window in the packet, but from what I've seen tonight, we should already be switching to aluminum clad, which is okay, we'll do that.
Or fiberglass. We like fiberglass.
Yes. So off of the garage, there will be a mudroom on the 1st floor, which will also be a laundry room. That will all be conditioned space. The garage itself will not be conditioned. And then there's a stairwell in the mudroom that will lead to the 2nd floor space, which currently we have designed as an office, and then there's an activity / multi-purpose room up there. The siding will be cedar, wood cedar with a 4-inch reveal. It'll be wood clapboard to match the existing house. It'll be painted white. The shingles on the main roof will be an asphalt, and the existing home has a carriage type. It's got like a beveled shingle, a charcoal shingle with a beveled edge to it. We'll use the same thing on the garage in this case. So I think that's the extent of it, and I'd like to get your feedback and see what you think of it. Oh, I'm sorry, before we do that too, we also have the contractor here, Bob Scally. He's from Amesbury. He's done extensive renovations and additions to historic properties in New Hampshire and Massachusetts. So we can hear from him too, if you'd like.
Okay. Doug, did you want to start?
I don't have any comments yet.
Okay. Gwen?
I will let you go. Thank you.
The existing, Pam, go ahead. Do you have any questions?
I'm still trying to visualize this, but, so keep going.
Okay. Julie?
I don't know that this is something to, hold you up on, but the front of the garage and where it meets the side of the house, there's a really funky roof situation going on there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the main door that the family uses is towards the rear of the house, and it has a very, it has that roof condition there, which it makes it tough to kind of meld into.
What program did you use to draft this?
This is Revit.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, that's
A couple of things kind of poking me in the eye.
Sure.
You got two garage doors on the bottom, and I kind of harped on this all night about alignment and stuff like that. You've got a center dormer that's on the 2nd floor with 2, I assume would be double hung windows. From the Revit, it looks like they're fixed panel 9 lights.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right. Yeah,
Dormer centered right over the column between the 2 garage doors below. That it should either be one wide dormer that kind of spans that and gives you the proportion, or it's 2 separate dormers centered over those doors. And then I don't understand the hipped roofs hipped corner roofs on the gable ends. Those don't really relate to anything else on the house as the form of the architecture of the house. The front kind of octagon turret that's at the front there, that has a hip that goes back in all directions, but that's because of that plan is creating that. So that's kind of a foreign roof element.
I would agree it's foreign, and the reason I like it is it does mirror other angles of the house in elevation, so that was the impetus behind it.
Okay. And then on that elevation then, again, centered window on the bottom, 2 above. It's almost kind of giving you that, 2 eyes and a nose type of look on the gable end.
Okay, yeah, in that case, we're just trying, I think it would be okay to add another window if we wanted to make them 2 up and 2 down. We're just trying to make room for storage in the garage and adequate wall space, but it wouldn't be hard to add another window.
Gotcha, okay. In your section, like number 7, you kind of get that idea of what those double hips are doing on the gable end corners. That's gonna be fun to frame.
Yeah.
You have a lot of jack trusses in there and girders. It may help to just have those as gable ends that relate more to the rest of the massing of the building. And with the floor-to-floor levels that you have here, like the 8'6", and then it looks like you have a really thin floor framing before you get to that second floor.
Yeah, there's about a foot there right now currently.
Okay, I don't know what that span is, but that's got to be steel if it's going to be that thin.
Well,
that span.
We're not showing structure. There will be structural beams.
Okay.
There's going to be one that bisects that floor. It'll be probably like an LVL or something, and then we'll use joist hangers to hang the joists from there. So yeah, they won't span that far. There's a bit more detailing to go to get this into construction, but
yeah. And what I was reacting to number 3, like the east elevation, the dormer that's coming off the front, facing the street, the ridge of that dormer is matching the ridge of the main roof. So it's kind of, it's making it feel very tall.
okay.
If that dormer was dropped and terminated against, then you'd see the ridge, the continuous ridge of the the more prominent mass behind it.
Okay.
It may help with that scaling. And if you have 2 dormers on the front there, instead of just the one, the scale will come down.
Yeah, so your previous comment was either make the dormer wider or do 2 separate dormers, is that correct?
Yeah.
Now, how wide were you proposing that would be then, like just
Well, yeah.
both of the doors, or?
If it goes any wider, you're gonna have to do a shed.
Yeah, that's why, okay. So you would recommend doing 2 gables of the similar type, maybe 1 window in each one above the doors,
Right.
the garage doors, okay.
Something that just relates a little bit more of the massing and kind of the negative positive voids from first floor to second floor.
I need to move the picture here.
Where's that? The roof overhang on that is on the garage side. Is it just about a foot right now?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
exactly a foot.
Okay. So you could probably, you don't have to step that dormer back, but you could actually extend that roof in front of it if you wanted to kind of break up that mass and make the dormer look like a, like a, not a floating dormer,
Like
but
it's setting back a
right.
bit.
It would
yeah,
look
so-
set back
Okay, understood.
instead of making a 2-story volume
Yeah.
on that facade. So. Definitely needs a little massaging. Anyone else have any questions, comments?
Well, my question has absolutely nothing to do with this application. I'm just curious if the downstairs bathroom still has the weird 1960s thing. We'll keep that.
Ceiling inside with like black fixtures,
What's happening with the gable roof over the mudroom area? Is it actually sloping down into the house? So how does that work?
Where are you referring to?
Where the chimney hits the,
Oh, yes.
gable. Is there a cricket or
Yeah.
something?
That's the only thing
Yeah,
that
there'll have to
could
be a
do.
cricket in there and
Yeah.
to,
wow.
or maybe some sort of heat trace in there under the cricket to prevent like snow and ice buildup for sure.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this needs some more work.
Okay.
You know, we've got a lot of issues.
Well, I don't know if we're gonna be able to eliminate that one or not, as far as, I mean, if we'd use a cricket in there, we should be able to shed water. And if we need to incorporate a snow melt, we could do that as well. So there,
Your second floor form in that area is the office number 4, right?
yes,
So that interior wall you have right now, that's that 13-foot 7, actually extends beyond the existing wall of the house. So you could actually run the roof the same direction as the main house and have
Yeah.
two separate
Yeah.
pitches.
That's
Yeah.
what I was thinking.
Have a
could do
pitch
that.
break.
Change the direction.
Yep.
now that might make the roof line come up a bit though, because then
Yeah,
it's gonna be a
pretty
longer,
wide.
yeah, very wide roof.
My recommendation would be to keep pushing and pulling on that Revit model.
Yeah, no, that's fine, but I mean, yeah, it'd be great to come back with something that would meet your expectations, so, do you have maybe a handful of things you'd like to see the next go-around?
I think there's a lot of architectural language that's happening with the existing building and the main building that's not being represented in the addition. It seems like different choices in almost every form, window placement, roof shape, and that existing building is really your best model to make it look cohesive. With windows stacking on top of each other with massing and different roof shapes. So I think it's, you know, take some influence from the existing home and try to rework that mass to make
Yeah,
it look
there's
more like
some-
the existing home.
Okay, yeah, there's some windows that aren't represented in the existing home that I'll have to add, so that you can see what's there.
Is this, in this 3D view, do you have a second floor extension that sticks out over the first floor next to that octagon turret? The way that's representing?
Yeah, there's a covered porch there,
Oh, okay. So that's just
so, yeah, just
unfinished model of it.
Correct,
On that side,
yeah.
I get you, I get you.
trying to not spend too much money, modeling
On
the
the other
existing
side.
home.
Gotcha. Okay. It's hard to give you much more to go on without kind of designing it ourselves. Do you
That's
have
fine.
a direction?
Yeah.
Do you think?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I know a lot of things that I could do. Just wanted to make sure that we hit on the spots that you'd be interested in.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
So, well, I'm glad we went through this exercise and didn't get too much farther along with this particular design then, so.
All All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll see you in a month.
All right.
So move to continue, or
Yes, may I have a motion to continue this application till next month?
move to continue this application till next month?
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, you see some pictures. Thank you for your patience.
No, thank you.
6 minutes and Julie turns into a pumpkin.
That's right, I did.
All right.
Okay, and there's the
No,
pointer.
This is so beautiful.
Oh my gosh,
How do you,
that is cool looking.
That's a great house.
is this is there a pointer?
I think he's
Yeah.
gonna have to advance.
Okay, so the bathroom window
You can take the mic with you and point if you would like.
Excellent.
That
This is
works.
my first time ever speaking in a microphone, by the way, so thank you.
Just don't do a mic
So
drop.
You're natural.
that right there is the bathroom. That is also in the next photograph, showing like a close-up of the windows condition of the inside.
Oh, not that one.
That's all right. It's
That one.
so that was the window. That was the window that was buried behind the shower. So we're not even sure what is on that glass. A few of my guys tried to scrape it off, and it's not going so well.
Was
Yeah.
that interior trim
Oh, my goodness.
buried?
No, so we kind of took that from Kevin had some leftovers in the basement, so
cool.
we tried to keep it as period as possible, even inside the bathroom itself, and they did a great job tiling the bathroom. But that's beside the point.
Yeah, that is the interior trim. It was missing on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So and there's Kevin. You can, there should be.
I think he missed one.
Okay. Anyways, so there's a window adjacent here facing High Street. Right there. One. Right there, Kev.
Right in the middle.
Right there.
Center.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. So there's High Street right there. And these are the two windows that originally we were here to look into replacing. Now, since we've put the application in, Kevin's decided we'd like to possibly do more on the face of the house.
Okay, so then go back to the front elevation. If that's the proposal, is what we see on the front elevation. So all that we see there?
That would be the, yeah.
This would, you want to talk?
Got it. That would be the hope. I mean, it's something we'd like to do over time, but again, the goal is to get the windows, is to replace all the windows and get rid of those storms. And so, that only makes sense if we're doing all of at least the High Street windows, or it's just not going to look right.
So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is there a seventh one underneath there?
There's one underneath the porch as well.
Okay.
We had originally just requested Ted to do the 3-bathroom, but, I'd like to, while we're here, I'd like to be able to do everything with the understanding that, we'll have the permission and we'll do it over time as we can afford it.
Existing exterior trims stay the same.
Yep.
They're all inserts into existing frames.
Yes.
Right?
Correct.
So you're only replacing interior casing or reinstalling it.
Yes.
The light patterns all stay the same?
Yes.
The sills are in good shape on all of them?
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah, the exterior trim is actually in great shape, so.
Okay. Can you print that and kind of mark it so that we put it into our application so we know?
Yep.
Yeah, how do you want that? Just submit.
You
something like
can,
Barb?
yeah,
Okay.
turn it into Barb and just say, just use a Sharpie, window 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
Okay.
as what is being proposed as being replaced.
Yeah,
Okay.
and make sure
And
she has
just,
the case number.
Match existing light patterns, insert windows.
Okay.
Probably all you need. Simulated divided light, right?
They're actually full divided light.
Is there authentic
They're,
divided light?
it's
You have individual
Anderson's
panes?
FDL. Yeah. They're actually fully divided.
Wow, it's the
Very
first
nice.
time we've seen those.
No.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Yeah. Heave it on over here.
Upsell me?
Oh, no, there's a metal.
No, that's a spacer bar. That's
Right,
simulated divided light
It
with a
is
spacer bar.
SDL, but they call it FDL because it does space
Yeah.
all the way through. The SDL actually
yeah,
stops.
That's Anderson.
Yeah.
That's a simulated divided light with a spacer bar. Which is what you want anyway because it's only a single pane of glass. Otherwise, you have to replace 2 panes of glass.
Yeah.
I know, I told you. My kids' butts have gone through the windows, I'm aware.
An authentic divided light mullet would be a lot wider than that to hold.
It actually is.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. May I? What am I gonna ask
Do we
for
need any
here?
more information?
No, we have to,
No.
We've been explained what is going to happen. We just don't have a physical copy of it. So we can cover that with conditions. So where is this?
so do you need the motion to approve that this is a complete application? Because it's not really.
It's not a complete application.
No.
That's the problem. It's not a complete application. That's the problem. But we don't want to make you come back because we understand what you want now.
That's a dilemma.
What can we do to make this easier?
Yeah.
I appreciate.
We're trying to think, well, we don't think too well at this time of night.
Yeah.
Do you have,
the
as
cut
part of your proposal, or as part of this application, is there any indication of what? Oh, this is the wrong one.
Yeah.
There we go. So if we just put for the conditions of approval that they submit to Barbara, what shall we say?
To accept the application before it's approved? Because it's not complete.
Well, can I recommend we would submit as a condition of approval, we would submit a copy of the photograph provided, because we have provided it, not physically, but, or shown, if you want to say, with the high street facing windows.
All right.
Shown.
I'm
We
gonna
have a
ask.
two-step process.
Yes.
One is that we have to
to accept.
it, yeah, that you have given us complete information. And then the other is to approve the appropriateness of your
Okay.
design.
I'm going to ask for a motion, a motion of conditional acceptance
Conditionable upon,
upon receipt of the front elevation of High Street with the windows identified that are to be replaced to Barbara.
And I'll second just for discussion. So
We
from
include-
that,
Sorry, would we include a sheet for the type of window?
yeah, we do.
Yes.
Applications? Yeah.
Do we have that or no?
Yeah, we do.
I think we have that.
Yeah.
I'm all out of sorts here.
I know,
Here.
there's too many High Street applications.
We have a, well,
here. You want that?
Yeah, that might actually
do we have
be-
a, this is just a order sheet.
No, but it
So,
describes
can-
what it is.
Well, yes, it does, has a little elevation of what it is, but not like the pretty picture.
Yeah.
So a specification cut sheet as well as front elevation. You know what I mean, right? The color cell sheet.
Yep.
As part of the conditional acceptance.
The reason I wanted a discussion is how can we go ahead and approve it if we have conditions on the accepting of it?
Because we have a physical window sample, which
Okay.
represents the cut sheet, and we have the digital elevation in front of us.
Okay.
And I think we all understand which windows are being replaced. And we have that on video and record.
All right, then I would suggest a motion, you made the motion, right?
Yes.
I would recommend that you withdraw it, and I'll withdraw my second, and we just have a full-on, we accept the application as complete, then if we approve the application, that's where we put in the conditions of the,
Understood.
Okay, I move that we accept the
wait,
application.
we still have a, we still have a motion
I have
on the
to,
floor.
Okay.
I'll withdraw my motion.
And I'll withdraw my second.
Okay, now, may I have a motion to accept the application with the
As-
physical window and the digital representation?
Second, yeah, I'll second that.
Okay.
Okay.
Do I have okay, and you seconded that. So we all in favor of accepting that?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, now approval with conditions.
Yes.
Go for it.
Okay, I move that we approve the application subsequent to these people submitting a copy, the applicant, of this photograph,
Front High Street elevation.
High Street elevation of 69 High Street,
Indicating,
which windows shall be replaced. And this photograph shall be submitted to Barbara in the planning office. So you get that photograph, mark each window.
Understood. And do you, the cut sheet as well? Is that-
Yes, yes,
Picture of your.
yes, the cell sheet. Yes.
yeah. I'll second that.
Okay, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so
Thank you.
approved.
Thank you for your flexibility both in.
Only approved if you bring that
Yes,
stuff there.
conditionally.
Okay.
And thank you.
Thank you.
That was.
Thanks for
I've been
waiting.
here late night and that is hard thinking, so thank you for doing it.
Thank you very much, guys.
Yeah.
Indicating
Okay, now we have minutes.
be replaced. Holy cow. Okay.
Good.
Well, that finishes our public hearings. There is other business.
Why do I have hair?
Approval of minutes. The November 18th minutes are already approved. December 16th and January. If we don't do the December tonight, they'll be automatically approved next meeting.
So they're fine. Let's just let them sit.
They've already been revised.
Can I give you my?
Yes, sure,
give them to
absolutely. Can give them to Elizabeth.
Yeah. You want to look at them and?
I trust your judgment and grammar.
Is it Trex window, T-R-E-X?
Not window.
Siding, or
Trex deck.
Trex decking, see.
Yeah,
no,
it's
it is after-
T-R-E-K.
It's T-R-E-K.
Yes.
Not T-R-E, okay.
Which ones are you looking at, December?
20th for December.
R-E-K.
December
The
16th.
capital T, it's a.
Yeah,
formal name.
yeah,
Okay,
it's a product.
that's what I thought, okay.
On page 2, we're talking about the December 16th ones, right?
Yes.
Okay. On page 2, down in the largest paragraph, Anthony Zwan, his name is spelled Z-Z-W-A-N.
C-W-A-A-N. yeah.
Thank you. I know there's a double letter in there somewhere.
That's in a few places. And just before I give her this, up next to the last page, at the top, David Cowie asked if they could be clear that the HDZ has, it should be purview, I'm assuming that's what the word should be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Then, if there's nothing else, I move to approve the December 16th minutes as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Gwen,
Why don't
want
I
to
have
hand those
Yeah, okay.
to Elizabeth? January. Want to table January?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All in favor of tabling January meeting minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I have a second? Oh, well, I already, whatever.
Yeah, second.
Tabled. Never mind. Too
Oh my
late.
goodness. I just have one thing to tell you about what happened at the State House today.
Okay.
The governor gave his State of the State address, and in it, he said he's going to create somehow a fund for demolition of old buildings.
What?
People can get grants to demolish their, whatever they want to demolish.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
How does that get them votes?
I don't, well, the Division of Historical Resources is like here, and spending everything else is here. So, because he
Wow.
tore down a building himself. Didn't he see the picture of him in the big tractor riding over a building in West Lebanon?
Jeez.
Just want to let you know, it's not been approved or anything yet, but no, I'm afraid the day was not good, so. And that's it.
Maybe that's why that guy
Awesome.
collapsed. He had a heart attack.
And he's going to be out of the hospital tomorrow, so I don't know. I don't think it was a heart attack. Yeah.
Someone
He was.
during the meeting?
He just said, and to wrap it up, and then we hear, medic! and a thump, and I don't know if the thump was a chair, but somebody one of the reps got taken to the hospital. And we were told later that he's getting out tomorrow,
All right.
so.
Well,
Yep, we're done.
we are making a motion to adjourn.
Aye.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast channels 98 and 22. Channel 98 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 13, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.